So I'm a few episodes into Lovecraft Country. Have you seen that yet, Jacob?
No, I heard it was real bad, actually, so I kind of avoided it.
It's real heavy. It's real heavy. I haven't seen enough of it to have a valid opinion. I've only seen, I think, the first 2 episodes, and it is heavy. I didn't realize how heavy it was going to be. You know, I thought it was... Oops, God damn it. I hit the button again. I'm sorry, everybody. Yeah, that's what I get for trying to multitask. I'm like reaching over, like behind me, trying to push buttons while I'm talking to you. All right, so I got it. I thought that the show would be a little bit about racism, but I don't know. I think it might be the main storyline. It's almost more than anything else. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's the impression that I got. That was it mostly focuses on that.
I shouldn't say nuts. You know what I mean? Well, it's more like it's hard to see how it can be presented as entertainment. You know, it's just like, wow, this is like some kind of a fear catharsis or something. You know, like it's like watching something about the Holocaust, except that it's got some Cthulhu monsters in it.
Yeah, no, we get it, Peter. You're a racist.
I think that'll be the inevitable thing at the very end of all of this. You know, it'll be like, you know, Brazil or whatever. You know, be like, oh, and I'm the secret son of Hitler. Ha! You all listen to me speak for months and months. Now you can't unhear me. No,
You did spend that time down in
Here's
Argentina.
The thing. Yeah, don't we all? Yeah, you know, Magneto did it. We all do it. You know, you just got to go sometimes. Got to clear up some vague, ambivalent backstory of yours. No need to go into details. Okay, so here's the thing, though. By addressing the racism in Lovecraftian stories so overtly in Lovecraft Country, I feel like it is doing a service to the genre. I don't know that it makes the show that fun to watch, but it does sort of clean the slate in a way that is good. It's good in the long term. Because almost all those guys, not just Lovecraft, but also some of his friends, were all a bit xenophobic. It was kind of... See, I was about to say it was kind of like the thing at the time, but that sounds really awful.
I mean...
I guess it wasn't frowned upon at the time. I guess you could put it that way. At least not the way we do now by everybody. But then again, I do hear accounts of people frowning on it at the time too. So I don't know. Maybe it was always that horrible, and we just look at it differently now. We have more consensus on the matter. Could be.
I mean, Lovecraft was like pretty racist even for the time. I mean, there's that.
Okay.
There's that great anecdote. I can't remember his wife's name, but he was Sonia Graham. I have the wiki up.
Oh, good.
And I guess he was like he was ranting about the Jews and had to remind him, honey, you know I'm Jewish, right?
Did you forget? Again?
Yeah, it's...
Dear Lord.
I know.
Oh, my God. Okay. See, that's the thing. I didn't want to start that way because I do, or at least I used to really love Lovecraft. Well, I mean, I love his writing. I love the stories and the concepts, but it's hard to extricate that part from it. And that's what I think Lovecraft Country does so well. I think that they do their best to, by just overtly just pointing it out and then asking us to try to move on, that maybe we can, which isn't to say that, it's not an important issue to bring up, but it's nice that they're trying to make it more palatable for future generations of people. That it gives a context and, and shows how we've chosen to interpret the less savory parts of these people, whose work we enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see that. I mean, I guess like like as a white guy, I could always kind of just like brush it off as like that's just kind of like yeah. I mean, people are pretty fucking racist back then, so like. But like that could, but like you could, but like I could never be like negatively like affected by that. You know what I mean?
At least not in the same way.
Yeah,
Only
yeah, yeah.
vicariously.
Well, sure, yeah. Although also like Lovecraft was like that funny sort of like he also hated different types of white people racist.
Yeah, and Asian
Which,
people, and just all kinds of people. Like almost everybody except himself and like other New Englanders.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Is that like I don't like
Yeah.
I'm white, but he also probably wouldn't have liked me either.
Probably not. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I prefer to think of him in those terms as more of just a broader xenophobe. I think that his alienation wasn't just with various minorities. Well, it was, but it was also everyone else. He was alienated from everybody. He was a weird little man. Well,
Yeah,
okay, maybe he was a normal sized man, but he was a strange fellow
yeah.
from start to finish.
Well, actually, I feel like that's kind of why he was so singular as a weird fiction writer, because he was just riddled with all of these fears and neuroses that
Yeah. Yes.
no normal person has, and
Yeah.
it gave him an interesting perspective that
Oh,
like a more
by the way, everybody.
yeah.
By the way, welcome to Gorman on Gore.
Oh yeah.
I'm Peter Gorman, the host. I'd like you all to give a big round of applause for my co-host Jacob.
Woo.
I'm literally I'm turning to hit the soundboard. I realize I don't have the applause up, so no applause for you, Jacob. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll put some in post.
What are you talking about? You hear applause right there. They were.
Oh, I didn't put it all on the same board. I'm limited to, I don't know, 8 or 9 buttons, and I filled them up with Nicolas Cage quotes. So
Okay, that's good.
I'm sorry. He takes priority, Jacob,
No,
over adulation for your co-hosting skills. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I had to make cuts.
That's fair.
Well, it also could just be that I'm just not good with this soundboard. It's got a little like interactive screen, and when it's recording, it doesn't seem to want to let me do anything else. So just take that up with Road Pro, I guess. So yeah, so for those who don't know anything about Lovecraft or what the hell we're talking about, I just want to lay down a quick little summary of him. I mean, like, this is the briefest of brief, but let's just get into it just so everyone's got context.
Oh God, damn it! Sorry. All right.
That was an excellent ring. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. It's very calming.
Except for right now. Okay. So Lovecraft, he was a strange, fragile, frightened man. And we already went into this a little bit. He lived a stunted and short life. He wrote weird stories of cosmic beings. He never made any money doing it. He was only published in pulp science magazines in the 1920s, and then he died of intestinal cancer at the ripe old age of 46. So, yeah, I mean, he never knew that he was a success. He let other people he was writing with include some of his ideas, and I think part of, him doing that helped sort of infect the concepts into the broader consciousness. Over time, it seeped into all kinds of different stories.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I hear that it didn't really become big until like the 1970s and from then on. So he became a legend many, many decades after his demise. He never got to enjoy any of it. He died penniless and sad, as many great artists do.
Yeah.
And yeah, as we were saying before, he's openly racist, and it is reflected in his works. And it makes it hard to say that you like Lovecraft, because then people might read the wrong story and think that you're a creep.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but did you ever read Medusa's Coil?
No, I have.
It's like a co-written one, and that one is
Okay.
so like okay. the racism in it is so very funny because it's sort of like almost like a romantic triangle, which is weird because like Lovecraft stories are also entirely entirely sexless. But he did co-write this with a woman, so
awesome.
I guess she added some of that. And
way to go for being in a room with a woman for a while. I mean, he seems like a strange, sexless being.
Yeah.
Like so removed from everything.
Yeah.
It's like he's the survivor of a horror film. You know, just the life that they would lead after a traumatic event that just destroys and distorts everything in your life. He's like that. Yeah. Or at least he seemed to be.
I will say there is no evidence that they were actually ever in a room together. But anyway, so like
maybe they sent letters back and forth.
So long story short, there's this big like revelation of like, Lady Temptress or whatever is actually some kind of like horrible like Gorgon monster, and it gets killed and whatever. And then like the story kind of keeps going on a little bit, and like the revelation at the end is that I think it's like they find like a painting or whatever, and they like the main character like describes their horror at the realization that the woman that he had been like pining after or whatever was, how did he say it, like a scion of Zimbabwe.
Oh,
so it's like,
you know, that's really awful, but also like eloquently indirect.
I know, but like it's so funny to me that
Dear Lord.
Like there was a monster, but also he was in love with a black chick.
Dear Lord. I remember reading that story about that guy who ended up being related to a great white ape. And I thought, like, oh, is this the racism they're talking about? And then, then you read other stories, they're like, no, that's not even the racist thing at all.
No, I think the horror at Red Hook is probably the most racist one. Like, especially when you consider that this, like, horrible slum of depravity and, like, racial, like, intermixing is, like 1930s New York.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't like, okay, man.
I feel like he took that alienation and his lack of understanding as just, I love that he was able to just paint it in the most cartoonishly unnatural and twisted and evil and otherworldly, that he possibly could.
I will come to his defense a little bit in that it does seem like he lightens up on that stuff in his later works. It's really mostly like...
I think it's from just talking to other people, who just sort of calmed him down.
Yeah. I feel like it tends to be the earlier stuff that tends to be the most embarrassing with that.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go into it too much. I just want to point out that it's there, and I don't like it.
No, yeah.
But as a kid, I grew up with the stories. I have in my possession a little paperback book titled "The Great Untold Stories of Fantasy and Horror." It was printed way back in 1969. I have a first edition, but it's a paperback, so I don't think anyone cares. The best story in the book, it's all from different authors. It's one of those horror anthologies. The best story is H.P. Lovecraft's The Dreams in the Witch House. And I read that disconnected from anything else he had written, and I just absolutely love that story. I still do. I think it's my favorite of all of his stories. I think most people choose The Rats in the Walls. So, if you want to choose a good story that's not embarrassing or outmoded or whatever, start with The Dreams in the Witch House or The Rats in the Walls. Or my second favorite story, I guess, is At the Mountains of Madness. You can do that too. Any of those are good. Mm-hmm. Try one of those. You got a recommendation, Jacob?
For like best Lovecraft story or?
Oh, I don't know. Or a good one, whatever.
God. I kind of like Pickman's model. I mean, I feel like it's it's one of the more like you see it coming kind of thing, which is like that is also something like that. That's not even a Lovecraft flaw, but that is just like if you read like horror fiction at the time, so much of it is like they'll like talk about some like theoretical, boy, wouldn't it be horrible if there was like a terrible monster that you couldn't see and could like suck your brain out through your head? Thankfully, such a thing could never happen. And then, like, over the course of the story, it's like, and then that thing about the blood-sucking, or, like, brain-sucking invisible monster was true. And it's like, no shit. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah, like at the end of, I think it was, no, I was about to say At the Mountains of Madness, but no, it was one of the other stories. But there was that one where they were putting... there was that one where they put the brains in the canisters and like send them through time and space.
That's the Whisperer in Darkness. Yeah,
wouldn't that be horrible if that happened? Yeah,
it's like so much of it is legends tell of these awful bug monsters, but of course such a thing couldn't possibly be true. And then it's like there's this like long correspondence of, I think I found evidence of some horrible bug monster, and it's like,
yes.
It's like at the end, it's like, I like the story, but we get it, man.
It's all set up.
Yeah.
Which, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but because he kept doing so much setup, it really laid out a world. I mean, actually, they use that term Lovecraft country because he's got a whole section of Massachusetts and other places nearby that have fake cities and such where terrible, terrible things happen. Full of eldritch horrors and cosmic beings, just indifferent to the plight of man and to the sensibilities of good, decent white New Englanders. I shouldn't say that. Oh, God. It was his words, all right? It was his words.
Yeah.
Okay, so all of this brings us, dear audience, to today's film. The 2019 film, Color Out of Space. Oh, you know what? I just realized I actually have the trailer. We can just play it right now. Let's do that.
All right.
Look at this.
All those years in the big city, we finally got out. We're living the dream.
Maybe it is a dream.
Then everything just blew up. Big flash, like a pink light. Or actually, I don't even know what color it was. It wasn't like any color I'd ever seen before.
Looks like a meteorite. You think it's radioactive? I mean, it's from space, right? Meteorites are generally no more dangerous than ordinary rocks.
How can something that big just disappear? Did you plant those?
No.
Ward, you come here for a sec.
Oh, God.
What are you doing? Shh. It's talking to me.
Who's talking
Kid.
to you?
A man in the well.
It's in the static, it's in the moisture. It's in here, is out there. And what's out there is in here now.
Everything's under control.
Why are you so in denial? That thing from the meteorite changes everything around it.
It's just the color.
Just the color, man.
Can you believe me now?
I don't know what I believe anymore. Everything's gonna be A-okay.
Oh, dear Lord, I think I played that too loud. And you can't even hear the music. So Jacob's just sitting there in silence like, is it over?
Well, I was gonna say, you might have played it too loud because, like, I could hear most of it.
Oh, well. That's what I wanted. I want us to share the experience. You know, the audience, you, me, everybody.
Sure.
I want us to just savor in the moment of this strange trailer with Tommy Chong and Nicolas Cage and an annoying child who doesn't die soon enough. I don't want to give that away, but yeah, you hear him in the trailer. He's like, he's talking to me in the well. It's like, whatever, kid. I don't know. It's not the kid's fault, but he is that kid. The annoying kid in the glasses who just witnesses everything and is just kind of slack-jawed and doesn't do anything. And you know that kid.
Yeah.
He's in like dozens of movies.
In one form or another, yes.
He's like that Jerry Maguire kid, in the glasses. Except this kid is less cute. No offense to Julian Hilliard. I'm sorry. Julian Hilliard, or however you say your name. Okay, so this film is based off of the H.P. Lovecraft short story of the same name. The Color Out of Space. Although it has a U in the title, makes it fancy and kind of Britishy to say it that way.
Yeah. The
color out of space. But then again, Lovecraft was writing in like 1920, and so I don't know how much the English language has changed between then and now. Sometimes I wonder if it was just optional or if he was just always weird, even during his time. Like, why'd you put a U in there? Like, don't worry, it's a special color. It's a color.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's this concept in the story about a color that it's like a color that's never been seen before. I mean, we know now that the color spectrum doesn't work that way. It's just an array of things we can see. So there's no special colors. In my head, I envisioned the Color Out of Space as being kind of like a grayish tone, but it's got a little bit of that slickness, that oil has when it's on water, kind of like rainbowy. Very like lightly. That's kind of the way I envisioned it in my head. That's not quite how it's done here. I think the movie wants to be a little more obvious about it. So anytime this cosmic thing or whatever rears its head, it's very bright and pink and, magenta, purples and pinks everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we could wait till it shows up in the movie.
Okay, so yeah, to summarize, both in the story and in the movie, a meteor lands, then it crawls down a well, and then all the bad things happen.
Yeah, that's about it.
I mean, yeah, that's the movie. Would you recommend this one to others, Jacob, or only to Lovecraft fans?
I can see this appealing to people who aren't Lovecraft fans.
Ooh, you're
I think it's
tossing it out to the normals.
I mean, maybe not normals, but I mean, I feel like there are other people out there who could get something out of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly, once you've seen these kinds of, strange cosmic tales, weird tales, anything based off of Lovecraft, they all have a somewhat similar vibe, which is both good and bad. And so, but you don't actually have to have seen or even known about any of that to still appreciate the weirdness of these kinds of movies. Yeah. One thing that people are not going to be prepared for, though, is the philosophy behind Lovecraft. A lot of other writers, they'll have a weird thing happen, but in the end, they're like, well, we still like people, so we're going to have a happy ending. That is, wait a minute, is that ever the case in a Lovecraft story? Almost never. If you go see a weird thing in those stories, you almost always die or go mad, or you're sucked into another dimension and you're never able to come back. It's always something like that. It just shows how low humans are on the totem pole in the hierarchy of cosmic importance or whatever.
Yeah,
we're just scum on the bottoms of shoes of gods or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there are some examples of the protagonist living or even confronting the evil and living. I mean, notably,
I think there was a couple, yeah.
Call of Cthulhu. People forget, but the main character does survive meeting Cthulhu.
Well, he sees him from a distance and then he flees, but yeah, I mean, that's something.
Yeah.
At least he didn't lose his mind or whatever.
Or Thing on the Doorstep, which has maybe the most funny and abrupt solution to encountering someone who is tapped into these vast unknowable evils. It's just shooting the guy 6 times in the head.
Sure.
Just
that works. Why not?
Yeah.
So you would recommend this movie to the regulars to just, Your
Well,
everyday
no,
hero.
and not. I mean, not like the regulars, but I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like if you can appreciate kind of, I don't know, slower burn horror and trippy imagery, I think you can get something out of it. And you don't have to necessarily be a Lovecraft fan for that.
If you like Mandy, if you like Nicolas Cage in Mandy, if you like Nicolas Cage in general, yeah, I mean, it's all here, I guess, right? The bright imagery, the cinematography is somewhat similar. This movie is less insane, which is saying something. Mandy is a very insane movie. One I would recommend, by the way. Yeah. We'll probably cover that. I just realized I've been editing so many of these now. I just realized in every episode, I think I promised like a half dozen movies.
I actually like promised myself I wasn't going to do that in this episode because of that.
Yeah, we have to stop. But no, I do love Mandy.
Yeah,
and I own it. So eventually, we probably will cover it because it's great.
Yeah, actually, I just recall. I think on like the second episode, I was talking about how very soon I was going to do this cover this foreign horror movie, and we're never doing it. At this point, sorry. I mean, maybe.
Never say never,
but probably not.
Yeah, well, who knows?
Yeah.
We could be doing this 30 years from now, and maybe we've covered hundreds of movies, you know? Maybe one day we'll have to go back and scrape the barrel and just see what our empty promises were years ago. Oh, that's a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah. I mean, we are, like, to be clear, that does not count the Tetsuo trilogy. We are finishing that eventually.
Oh, God. Don't invoke Tetsuo's name. That episode hasn't even come out yet. That will be the next episode. But yeah, that one is a doozy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And if you liked that, you'll also like Tetsuo 2, Body Hammer.
The Tetsuo wing. No, that's a terrible joke. I'm sorry.
That was bad.
I take that back.
Can't defend that.
Okay. I guess I would recommend this movie, but only just. I have some issues with it, but most of it stems from the way the original story chooses to end. I don't want to give it away too much, but we've already discussed the hierarchy of humans in the states of these stories. So it gives you a sense of how things will probably go. That's usually how it goes. Just kind of unfortunate. Jacob, this is our first Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah.
So, okay, on a 1 to 5 scale of Nicolas Cage-ness, what degree of Cage-ness is this film?
I would say 4, because you get a good combination of Nicolas Cage playing a dad, which is...
Yeah.
He doesn't do it enough, but it's always entertaining when he does it. And then he gets pretty nuts. Not the most nuts. So I think if you like multiple aspects of Nicolas Cage, I think it does... You get some good bits of both.
I agree. I'd say 4 out of 5 cages on this. He is pretty cagey. He gets to be weird, normal dad, just obsessing about mundane stuff, which is weirdly fascinating.
Yeah.
Just listening to him talking about milking alpacas, I could watch a whole movie of that. Even if the monster never showed up, I would watch a fake documentary about Nicolas Cage milking alpacas. It's weirdly mesmerizing. And I don't know why. Here's the thing. I mean, I know it's kind of a joke to praise Nicolas Cage, but there's just something about his it's bad acting, right? I mean, isn't it? But if it is, it's compelling. It's like a glorious dumpster fire. You know what I mean? Like it's great.
Well, okay. I guess what I would ask in reply to that is, Peter, what is bad acting?
I don't know. Okay, yeah. That's like a what is art type question, and I don't feel qualified to answer this. I feel like we're just wading into... Yeah, see, we did racism earlier. That was a mistake. We shouldn't have talked about that. We don't... Who the hell are we to talk about that? And and now it's... Yeah.
Frankly,
I'm going to go into this Marcel Duchamp thing where like, oh, you sign your name on a toilet seat and now it's art or whatever. But
well, okay, so that's my defense is that you could ask that question of his acting because there is something compelling to it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. If you take the individual pieces of what he's doing, it is bad. But something about the whole of it is just, it's just kind of amazing. So I...
Yeah, so like in a lot of ways, and I think you're, even if you won't vocally agree, I think you are at least helping me make a case that, possibly of any actor out there, Nicolas Cage is the pinnacle.
I do love Nicolas Cage. I don't know. I just don't, I get a little defensive about bandwagoning, I suppose. Yeah, I just don't want to be like, just blindly be like, oh yeah, I love him just like everybody else, whatever. But yeah, no, he's so much fun. I mean, really, he saves the movie. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that. The movie's not bad, but
yeah,
something about getting Nicolas Cage to do this role really makes the movie. I feel like it changed public opinion. If you swapped out Cage with any other actor, I bet people would have liked this considerably less.
Sure, yeah. I mean, and to be fair, there are other actors out there like that. Like, I mean, Willem Dafoe. I feel like any role, if you were to like take him out of it, the movie would be lessened.
Willem Dafoe was awesome in The Lighthouse. You guys should listen to that episode.
And he was perfect as the Green Goblin.
I recently watched that new Spider-Man, and I felt bad at first before I saw him. Because like, oh no, they're going to bring in the corpse of Willem Dafoe, and he's going to embarrass himself.
He's not that old.
It's going to be so bad. He's way older than he was, what was it, 20, 30 years ago when they made the first Spider-Man with Sam Raimi?
I guess.
I don't remember how long ago that was. It was a while. And, I mean, like, when I saw Tobey Maguire, I felt sad for him. I'm like, oh, you're too old for this, dude.
Oh, yeah, actually.
But Willem Dafoe was perfect. I'm like, wow, you are so good even now. I want a whole, like, Green Goblin movie. This guy is amazing.
Yeah.
He brings it in a big way. So, yeah, I guess I recommend that movie, I suppose. I wasn't really thinking in those terms, but, yeah, maybe just because Willem Dafoe's in it.
You kind of bring up a good point. Not to, like, make this too much into, like, Spider-Man, but, like, man, stop trying to make solo villain movies out of characters that can like Morbius or whatever. Do it like
Vampirius.
Okay. I like Morbius in the comics, but I like Morbius because he's a vampire who shows up in Spider-Man comics, and that's nuts.
I do have a Spider-Man comic where he's on the same boat as Dracula, which is pretty cool. At one point, he gets shoved by Dracula. I think that's the only thing that happens.
No, I mean, it's sort of like...
This is all unrelated. I'm sorry. We shouldn't just descend into comic book talk. That's not the province of this podcast. But
basically, what I'm saying is, do like a solo movie about like Green Goblin, since like you have like an actual good actor attached to it, and cancel doing Kraven the Hunter, or do a movie adaptation of like Kraven's Last Hunt or something.
Sure.
Whatever. I don't want to,
just have him show up as a side character.
Yeah, don't make him an anti-hero. It's stupid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to add before we dive into this movie, Jacob? Any more juicy little... No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, in general? No, I think we're good. Yeah.
See, I just wrote that down. I didn't realize. See, now it just came off as like a real passive-aggressive insult. Be like, hey, you want to just load more crap into this section of our podcast, Jacob?
Yeah, it was...
your comic book nerdery.
Yeah. You know what? Hold on. I do have something.
Watch Lovecraft Country, everybody.
Yeah.
It makes you really uncomfortable.
Fun fact. Lovecraft had a really weird mom who dressed him as a girl, and was something called like a touch me not, who like basically just like she had intercourse for the sake of producing a child, and then just never touched her husband again.
Yeah, I heard both of his parents were institutionalized and his grandfather died. It's like he started with a nice life, and then there was just like this history of madness and loss.
Yeah.
It really kind of echoes the madness and loss of his stories as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say they just
permeated
like
his soul.
Yeah, they just like it actually like reads like a chapter out of like The Shunned House or something.
Yeah, it's like the first chapter of any horror story. It's just some weird parents and then they die or leave or something.
Yeah.
He used to beat me and he dressed me in a little Navy outfit like Donald Duck. No pants. No, that's too far. I'm sorry. I'll take that back. All
right, anyway. That's all I got.
Without further ado, everybody, I think all of you out there need to gather yourselves, get comfortable, and prepare yourselves as we dance to the thin flutes at the benighted throne of Azathoth.
Fucking... Yeah, you fucking dork.
I didn't, you know what, full disclosure, I didn't do enough research on Lovecraft, but you know what, I did read his stuff. I've always loved his work, and I know the weird things. I know all the gods' names and all that crap.
Yeah, Peter, you...
I might toss in a little here and there.
Yeah, I mean, we did play the Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game.
We didn't just play it. I was in charge of those games.
That's true.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that crap. But no, I don't want you to bring up my nerdy past. It's embarrassing. I'm one of those tabletop gamers that, you know, pretends he didn't do it. You know, I'm embarrassed about it. So I don't want to tell people about the years of D&D and all that, even though I'm saying it right now. But you know what I mean. Not in casual conversation to the normals out there.
Whatever.
You don't know who might be listening.
Well, okay, also, like, I'm sorry, but, like, Dungeons & Dragons and Call of Cthulhu are, like, the most normal tabletop games. It's not like we're talking about, I don't know, playing, like, Unknown Armies or something.
Is this why I like Lovecraft? Because maybe I feel some of that weird, screwed up sense of, like, alienation and loss. I grew up thinking that I was going to have to lie to people. You know, like I thought it was going to be, you know, the bullying in the 80s was very Ronald Reagan. Everyone had to be real manly if you're a man. And if you weren't, you were persecuted mercilessly. I thought that was going to go on for my whole life. I thought I was going to have to just deal with that. And somehow, maybe because of Bill Gates taking over the earth, suddenly nerds are cool. And everyone has to, it's like we became the tyrants. And now everyone has to listen to our nonsense. You know?
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what to do with myself anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, don't bring up the fact that like us like fucking dorks have such a stranglehold on pop culture. I'm not a big fan of it either.
We do. We absolutely do, Jacob.
Yeah.
We talk about comic books, and even like, you know, the people who don't know jack shit about any of that, like they don't know nothing. They still know what we're talking about because we foisted our boyish interests onto everyone.
Oh yeah, no, they have to know.
Everyone must know.
Yeah.
They must appreciate. Oh God, I'm glad we didn't force He-Man on people yet, because what a terrible franchise. I loved it as a kid though.
Dude, they just made like 2 different He-Man cartoons for Netflix. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's right. You know what? I can't even say it about anything. Yeah. What about Rainbow Bright or like, I don't know, Pippi Longstocking or Punky Brewster? All of those like girly ones. None of that survived.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess if we want to go into it, yeah, the girly nerd shit did not see the same level of success.
I just have to point out, for shame, America, and I guess also the world, whatever. We should have been equal opportunity the whole way through.
I mean, I
wouldn't have watched it, but you know.
Yeah. I mean,
we need a live-action American Sailor Moon movie.
Man.
Are there women hot enough on Earth to do that movie?
Okay.
Is that a weird thing to say? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to point out that they're all, like, 13.
I think they're supposed to be, yeah, even though they're drawn like 30-year-old women or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's... Peter, make the elder sign. We're moving on.
All right, fine.
talking about this more can only...
I can't guarantee I won't talk about Sailor Moon again, though.
Well, okay, I'm just saying that, like, with the way the conversation was heading... Yeah.
Detour. Let's get off of this road.
Yeah.
So the movie... Yeah, we're starting, guys. Buckle in. The movie comes in on a bit of a narrated text that's been plucked right out of the opening paragraph of the Lovecraft story.
Yeah.
I doubt you have it memorized. Or do you? That'd be weird.
West of Arkham, there's... Shoot, I know bits and pieces.
Wow, you actually got, like... You got the first 3 words. That's something. I actually have it written down. Okay, so you're here. I don't know why I dangled you with that when I just have it sitting right here. I was curious.
Yeah, actually, asshole, just read it.
I heard that you just... Did you listen to the audiobook just recently, or did you read it?
Yeah. I listened to the audiobook.
Okay. So here we go. And I quote, "West of Arkham, the hills rise wild, and there are valleys with deep woods that no axe has ever cut. There are dark, narrow glens where the trees slope fantastically, and where thin brooklets trickle without ever having caught the glint of sunlight." It sounds like good writing because it actually is good writing. It's Lovecraft. And then right after that, it starts going into what the actual script is, and you're like, oh, that's not as good. Okay.
I would also like to briefly plug something. If you guys you're new to Lovecraft and you're like, reading, especially reading old stuff, that kind of sucks.
Reading sucks.
Yeah, there are a lot of good audio adaptations of Lovecraft's work. There are dramatic ones, like the Atlanta Radio Theater production, I think. That's what they're called. They do like sort of like dramatic readings. They aren't like one-to-one with the stories, but they're pretty good. And then some of you might know a guy named Wayne June, who voiced the narrator character in the Darkest Dungeons games. He's the one who talks about sanity, gnawing at the edges of your mind. That guy. He's done a few recordings. They're all great, because that guy has a great voice.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really do justice to just the length and breadth of people's love for this crap. It's in everything. If you dig around in a lot of these in books, in movies, songs. I was listening to Neil C.C. Rega the other day. You know, he does a bunch of like joke tracks. Mm-hmm. You know, he did that Ghostbusters song Bustin', which I recommend to anyone. It's just like, it's a great song even just on its own merits. It's just like a remix of the Ghostbusters theme.
I don't remember that one.
He did an album under the band name Lemon Demon, and some of the tracks on there are amazing. When He Dies, you should listen to that song. It's great. It's very Lovecraftian. It's just about how all this weird stuff that they find on the dead body of some kind of great occult leader after he died. So, yeah. And that's just one random thing, you know? It's all over the place.
Yeah.
Hidden in the cracks.
Yeah, I guess it would actually be a little bit
Seep into the
weirder
consciousness.
at this point if, like, someone sought out a horror podcast, listened to this episode, and was, like, not at least somewhat initiated.
Everyone has to start somewhere. And so, you know, I'm not going to, whatever.
No, I'm just saying.
And you should.
Odds low.
It's unlikely. Yeah. What if they did, though? Wouldn't that be great if we were the people who got someone onto it? They're just like, I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean,
oh my God.
Probably preferred if it was someone who, knew their Lovecraft shit better.
Back to the movie. We come in on a young woman in a cape trying to do a bit of witchery by the side of the river. She has like a great white horse that she rode in on. And I don't know, something about that feels so strange to me. I don't know why the horse is in the movie. I love it. It's a great big white horse. And it doesn't do anything. I mean, later on, it does one thing and it's hilarious, but that's it. So I don't know why it's here. This beginning reminds me of the very beginning of Labyrinth, where like Jennifer Connelly is doing some cosplay out in a park, reciting a play that doesn't exist.
Oh, yeah.
Except that this is for realsies, all right? This is a girl named Lavinia Gardner, and she is some kind of a witch. I think she's Wiccan or something. And she's calling on what was that word she used? The principalities of like I don't know, all the great elements, fire, water, and whoever, to keep cancer away from her mom, which is cool. I like this scene because it sets up that she's both weird, but also nice. She's using her witchery for good.
Yeah.
It's interesting. This movie does a lot of this sort of thing where they do nice little setup scenes that make you just feel worse later. I shouldn't give away what happens, but yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Not everyone makes it out, folks. If you fall in love too much with any of these characters, just watch out. Just watch yourself.
Oh, so this is a fun little bit of trivia. Lavinia. Do you know what that name is a reference to?
No, I see. I love that name, and I was thinking that if I ever had a daughter with someone who was, I don't know, like the female equivalent of Edgar Allan Poe, I would name her Lavinia.
That's very specific, but I
was thinking someone would have to be weird enough. It would have to be a real, like, a Wednesday Addams type of a lady to put up with a name like Lavinia, I think.
Yeah.
Like, what? So, yeah, what's it from?
Oh, it's from the Dunwich Horror. Lavinia Whately, the daughter of...
the Whateleys. Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, was she one of the deformed children of a monster or something?
She was the girl with albinism who goes up on the hill with her father and comes down all pregnant with Yog-Sothoth's spawn.
God, I hope it was Yog-Sothoth. Jesus Christ.
It is. I mean, like, spoilers.
I mean, any other scenario where your dad leads you up into the hills and you come back pregnant. Hey, all right, let's just keep going. Let's just move it along.
Yeah.
See, I don't think it would have even occurred to Lovecraft to think of something like that because, like I said, he was kind of a sexless being.
Yeah.
He didn't think in those terms.
No, I know. Like, I thought about that because I've been reading other, like, Lovecraft stuff, like the thing on the doorstep where they have, like, some, like, body switching that involves, like, an old man switching into the body of a much younger woman, and I'm like,
yeah,
there are a lot of, like, bad implications here, but he, like, clearly did not think of any of that stuff.
He's really rather androgynous as a writer, which, some people find kind of soothing. Like, I mean, he's real, I don't know, what do you call it? He's real confrontational about the races and cultures he doesn't like. But when it comes to gender politics, I mean, he's fairly neutral, mostly, I guess.
Yeah, in as much as I think Lavinia is maybe one of, like, 3 named women in all of his stories. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, on reflection, I take that back. Yeah, okay, yeah. I was just thinking back to some stories with women in them. No, yeah. You know what? Never mind. Yeah, no, I, like... Rescinded. That sounds like an exaggeration, but there are almost no women in his stories, ever. It's like the complaint people used to make against Tolkien, except real, Tolkien actually had some women, and they were kind of cool in his stories. Yeah. Not so much with Lovecraft. Yeah. So this lady, her name is, well, in the movie she's Lavinia, but her name is Madeline Arthur, the actress. She's in her mid-20s, but, when this was filmed, she was, I don't know, 23 or something. But she looks 15. I guess that's probably on purpose. They want her to look youngish. But I don't know. I feel like you're never going to be allowed to find her cute. She'll look the same way her whole life, probably. Peter, you're on that borderline again with am I drifting into creep territory? You know what she's like? She's like the women in To Catch a Predator, where they get like an older woman
Jesus
who looks
Christ,
young to lure in dudes who are creeps. Like, hey, come in, have some sweet tea. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's not what I would bring up when talking about how cute she is.
Hey, I didn't say I did. I will say, though, full disclosure, everyone, I do have a soft spot for witches. I am thoroughly pro-witch in disposition. The Conjuring lost points with me just for having an evil witch as the antagonist. Real women died throughout the ages. The real ones were midwives. They were herbalists. They were loners. oddballs and like mystic pagan spiritualists, free thinkers.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of underdogs and weirdos and outcasts, and so I hate seeing women, women and witches being persecuted in movies. I don't like it. And so I was shocked in this movie, so I guess let's reveal now, that no one is on her case about her weird pagan ways. It's pretty cool. If you have some kind of a trigger warning about the persecution of the occult, you get off scot-free on this one.
Yeah. I mean...
Thank you for agreeing with me, Jacob.
I was thinking back to it, and like, I don't even think the brother might make a joke about it.
I don't think they even address it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. The brother makes fun of her. I guess that sort of counts as some ribbing, I suppose.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's burning her hair. She's wishing cancer away from her mom. And then Ward Phillips shows up. He's a surveyor for a hydroelectric company. He calls himself a hydrologist. I assume that's a job.
Yeah, why not?
He wanders by and interrupts her. I wondered when I first saw this whether that has some kind of significance that, like, you know, her mom would actually get cancer later because she wasn't able to finish her little, like, witchy ritual to stop it. She'd been actively keeping it away this whole time.
That's almost counter Lovecraftian, just because that would imply that the, like, feeble human witchery could, like, possibly have, like, an actual effect on the greater forces that be.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, because that's sort of how this goes. I mean, yeah, I don't want to get into any of that yet, but yeah, it really doesn't work out. I mean, she does her best. So, yeah, the witch lady, Lavinia, she talks to a hydrologist. They make some polite small talk. He expresses an interest in her witchcraft, and I can't believe he thinks that her ritual was Alexandrian. It's clearly Wiccan. You know, he's given a choice between the two. You know, it's like, oh, I don't know if it was the one or the other. And she's like, oh, well, which one do you think it was? And he's like, oh, it's Alexandrian. Like,
yeah.
No.
Comes off as a real bonehead in this scene.
How embarrassing.
I know.
She bids him goodbye and rides her horse back to her fairly palatial country home. It is a really big house. We don't know. I was about to say, we don't know what state it is. No, we do know what state it is. It's Massachusetts. It's fictional Lovecraft, Massachusetts. But, I mean, I wonder how out in the sticks they have to be able to afford a house that big. You know, it looks like $1 million house, or maybe more.
Yeah, I was going to say, while watching the movie for the first time, I was taken out of it for a minute, just, like, imagining the financial situation that would allow this. Yeah, especially with like the dad being just kind of like an alpaca farmer. I'm like, man,
he's a failure.
Yeah, and then
Nicolas Cage is an unsuccessful businessman of some kind.
But you know what? To their credit, they do actually give you a reason why they're able to afford that house.
Yeah, and it's all about the wife, or at least I assume.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And speaking of the dad, out on the front porch in a rocking chair, Nicolas Cage pretends to be a regular human being. Even just him sitting in a rocking chair, he's so strange. You know, it's just, I feel like as soon as he starts pretending to be a regular person, it's like he can't do it. And so he's just like shifting and looking weird, you know?
I like it. It's a fun performance.
Yeah. Here he plays Nathan Gardner, a scatterbrained dad, and as we've mentioned before, a failure at business. I feel like he's hiding here. I don't know what his job was before, but I bet he wasn't good at it. And so he just sort of gave up and wanted to go play around with stuff out in the woods.
Yeah, there's some dialogue in the movie to that effect.
Their barn is full of alpacas. It's just chock full of alpacas. An uncomfortable amount of alpacas. They go look in there. I forget why. I think Benny is supposed to be in there. It's the eldest son of the family. There's 2 sons. Mm-hmm. And Benny is a bit of a pothead. So he wanders out and he's like hiding to smoke dope. But they mentioned that I think the dad and mom know he does it. So it doesn't seem like it matters. Maybe the thing is he can't do it in front of them. You know, he has to do it like quietly hidden somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and out by the idyllic well that's just in front of their house, his youngest son, Jack, He's just sort of staring blankly down into the water, so this kid is a winner right off the bat.
Yeah, shoot. I forget, is that when they go check in on the barn, is that when they mention Ezra living on their property?
Yeah, that's the first time they mention Ezra, Tommy Chong.
Yeah, well,
because
okay.
Ezra apparently sold him the dope, so yeah.
Yeah,
I was
going to when I first watched the scene, I thought back to, do you remember that movie on Mystery Science Theater, The Screaming Skull?
Yeah, I actually kind of like that movie.
Unironically, yeah, I kind of like it too.
It's one of those movies where a woman wanders around an old mansion at night and nothing happens, and somehow it's still kind of great. I mean, it will drive a lot of people crazy, though. So, I mean, there's reasons why a bunch of robots made fun of it.
Yeah.
So watch it however you like, if you feel so inclined.
Yeah, but I immediately, first time watching it, I immediately thought to that character Mickey, who's just that kind of slow guy that lives on their property. It's I forgot about that guy. Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, they have a Mickey.
Yeah. I feel like almost every country house needs a weird, kind of slow local guy who will know things or get things for you.
Yeah.
Like a groundskeeper or a janitor or something.
Yeah.
A landscaper, maybe.
God, that'd be so cool.
A lawnmower man.
Yeah.
What a life.
Yeah.
Subsisting parasitically off of some wealthy family from out of town or whatever.
I mean, honestly, kind of a sweet gig.
I wonder if they ever came home, and well, we haven't gotten to his character yet, but Tommy Chong is in their house, drinking their sodas or something. Oh, hey man, the door was unlocked.
You know what? I'm gonna.
Oh, what a character!
I'll say this: we only have a few scenes with him, but you know what? I don't think he'd do that. I think he seems like a
yeah. You know what? He's a slightly more responsible kook.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being too hard on him.
No, I think he seems like a fairly respectful guy. He's the kind of guy that you want living on the edge of your property.
Sure, he knows stuff, yeah. And he can just manifest pot out of nothing. I didn't see a grow operation.
I was going to say.
Okay, so this little kid staring into the well, he's got overly large spectacles over a weirdly vacant face. You know the kid. He's in so many things. Yeah. He's like that kind of kid where he'll just stare blankly at you and it just kind of drives you nuts. Yo, that's right. He's like that kid from Home Alone with the glasses. Fuller, who wets the bed. He's like that kid.
I don't remember that.
There's that part when they get up and the chair squishes into his face. That's kind of memorable.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That kid.
Yeah.
Any of this, it only makes sense to people who've seen Home Alone, so I'm sorry for the rest of you. Go watch that. It's a classic. Don't watch the remake whenever that comes out. There's supposed to be a British version that's getting made. I don't know why.
Well, it's so they can make a remake and not have the question immediately be, why don't the bandits just shoot the kid?
It makes more sense in a disarmed country where the lawless rule. It's like Mad Max over there. All right. So Jolie Richardson plays Theresa Gardner. She's the mom. Mostly I remember her from, I don't know if you want to bring it up, one of our favorite movies, the sci-fi classic Event Horizon.
Oh yeah, I did not remember that.
Yeah, she's I don't want to say she's the blonde lady, but yeah, she's the blonde lady. She's one of the ones that survives in that movie. Spoiler for that film, but almost everyone dies. That's a great one. A lot of people will list Event Horizon on the list of Lovecraftian films, even though it's not strictly one of them and it's not based off of any of his works.
No.
But it has a similar sense of that mix of of science and the occult, and the fact that they have to go through hell to travel through time or space or whatever.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I think it's fair to call it Lovecraft adjacent.
Sure. I'd say it's probably in the ballpark at least.
Yeah.
Here she plays some kind of a day trader. She's up in the attic teleconferencing apparently all of the time. She's late for dinner because of it.
Yeah.
how did they get this woman to agree to this situation? She is working on the kind of job where you have to talk to people all the time. And she's doing trades and short selling and really dangerous stuff that you have to fix constantly. You have to adjust so that you don't lose an enormous amount of money. And so if she ever loses her internet connection and her country home that's rather remote from everything, she's boned. And, you know, spoiler alert, that's kind of what happens. She's like just briefly delayed by a couple of things, including being hospitalized. And she's mad about it. She's like, I can't believe I had to take time out of my day from day trading to do this thing. As if like her whole career is so precarious that she can't take a day off. How did Nick Cage get her to go to the country? They should be living in a city somewhere where she could just walk down a street, use an internet cafe if she needs to. Or something.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? He just lays pipe that well.
Dear Lord. All right.
No, I don't know. I like.
I mean, maybe.
No, yeah, that was something that was weird because I feel. I don't think their relationship is supposed to be that way, but it does feel like he's kind of taking advantage of her because his life is only possible because she does that.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's like the mascot to her life. I feel like she's propping up everything.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he's able to put up with her kind of frostiness. I mean, part of it's justified. We'll get into it. I mean, you know, she's a recent cancer survivor. She feels wounded about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, they haven't been intimate in a while, and they mention it more than once, which is weird. Like, I don't feel like the movie needed to do that, but, you know, whatever, I guess. At dinner, daughter Lavinia mocks her dad for buying all those alpacas in the barn. You know, like, why did you do that, Dad? You know, and Nick Cage is just like, they're the animal of the future, remember? Well, are they? I don't know. I don't think so.
You know, I did look it up at one point because they mentioned how healthy alpaca meat is, and
yeah,
I don't know if it's the most healthy red meat out there, but apparently it's actually up there. So like that part's true. That being said,
yeah, I did.
Yeah. I would feel bad eating alpaca just because
they are very cute.
Yeah, and I guess like I've been like culturally conditioned to like, I mean, like cows are cute too, you know, or at least they can be. But I've been like culturally conditioned to see those things as milk and meat. So
sure. I often get llamas and alpacas mixed up. I believe llamas are the pack animals, and alpacas are raised for their wool and I guess to a lesser extent their meat.
Yeah.
And yeah, I looked it up a little bit. I guess that their meat is high in protein and low in fat, and it's fairly tender on its own. So, I mean, I guess he's right. But the movie treats it like he's made a mistake here.
Oh,
and also the family treats it like he's made a mistake here. You know, they kind of side-eye each other. They're just like, why did you buy those, Dad? I mean, that is kind of weird.
Oh, yeah. It definitely was a mistake. You know what? I don't know why this didn't click with me sooner. It was never going to happen, but we did have an opportunity to purchase some alpacas at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I mean, because they were for sale. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it just wouldn't have been feasible to like have alpacas in San Francisco.
Yeah. I hear alpaca wool is very good. You know, like you can make sweaters out of it and stuff.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be really good at insulating.
Plus, again, they are just very cute animals that would be fun to have around.
Sure. I don't like the noises they make. I didn't know that until I watched this movie, because you do hear them they sort of grunt. It's like a weird noise. I don't like it.
I like
but they are very cute looking.
I like it because it reminds me of those the Tauntauns from Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, it is kind of like that. It's like
yeah.
Would you eat alpaca meat, Jacob, if presented to you?
You know, I'd try it.
I guess I might. I don't know. I'm weird about new meats. Maybe I should expand my horizons and just eat some weird ones.
Oh, see, I love trying that stuff out. Like, I I'm sure I've mentioned it. I live fairly close by to a Chinese grocery store, so I can like go up there and be like, I can get like a bag full of like, you know, chicken feet or whatever. I had
Sure.
Yeah, I got like one time I got like 12 chicken hearts for like $1.50.
Nice.
It was nuts.
You ever just grab like an anonymous brown lump and just put it in your bag? Like, that might be good.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I did. Is I saw there's like a section for like more organy stuff, and I was like, hey, you know, let's check out what they have. Chicken hearts? Why not? I'll try it out.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Go nuts. They're probably really tough though, right? How'd you prepare them? Did you have to like mash them up?
No. I actually just threw them in the air fryer. Well,
I
after
eat them raw.
Well, no, I like marinated them and then had a heart and onions. I guess like liver and onions.
Sure.
It,
That seems like an Oregon thing. You just have it with onions.
yeah, they're not bad. I guess like for me personally, it really. I mean, I know this is like a no shit thing. It really feels like you're eating a heart.
Yeah.
It's
I think
like-
that's part of it for me, for new textures and meats and like organs and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want that feeling. Like, I don't want to be reminded that it's a dead animal, you know, like halfway through. Just be like, whoa.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like, it is like even though like a chicken's heart is small, it is still like it is a powerful muscle, and you feel it. It's not something like stomach is like pretty easy to ignore because I don't know. I guess for whatever reason, there's less of a like you're less aware of your stomach. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or at least I am, as far as like it's like makeup or whatever. It's just kind of like you put in your belly. Whereas like a heart is like you know what it is, so when you bite into it, it's like yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
Oh yeah, anyway, sorry. Yeah.
Nathan Gardner has a really impressive wine cellar. I don't know if you noticed. He's got hundreds of wine bottles down there.
Yeah, I did notice that. Although I noticed I don't know. I guess like I don't know since I don't have a wine cellar. It seemed like he had a lot of the same wine, which I feel like.
Well, it's hard to tell, but yeah, it could have been. It didn't look that different.
Yeah, which I don't know. Yeah, I feel like wouldn't you like if you're gonna have like a wine cellar? Wouldn't the thing be to have a whole bunch of different like varieties? You know what I mean?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe he bought a bunch from some local guy. We're just like, I'll just buy half of what you got.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like the difference between like being like into wine and being into wine.
Yeah, if it's his idea, I bet it's mostly the same wine. If it's his wife's idea, I bet it's like all the best wines.
Yeah.
She just seems considerably more rational and intelligent. She's a bit remote, but, you know, everyone's different, I suppose. I think in this relationship, Nicolas Cage is the silly one.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I actually pulled the quote from the end of the dinner where he tells the children that they have to do the dishes. So here we go.
Guess what time it is?
No, don't say it.
Guess what time it is? Time for you to do the dishes.
No, Jack.
No, it's
Jack.
you, Jack.
Yeah.
It's you, Jack. You gotta do it.
Now it's
You have to do it.
Yeah, no, it's not
I
my
did them
turn. That's
yesterday.
not
It's
how
Jack's
this
turn.
works. We have a system in
It's
this
Jack's
house.
turn.
It's Jack.
I love that the kid, you know, Jack, has to way overpronounce her name because it's hard to say. So he's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's Lavinia's turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the level of Nicolas Cage-ness in this film. He really lays it on thick, even before he starts going a little funny, you know, as begins to happen later in the movie. Even just as a regular man, he is very strange.
Yeah.
It seems like he'd be a good dad, though, or at least initially. He seems like a good time.
Yeah. I mean, he seems like he's interested in what his kids are doing.
After dinner, Nathan and Theresa stand out on the porch and reflect on their lives a little bit. I like these little character building scenes. And you need to savor them because we don't get a lot of those here. Yeah, Nathan lives under the shadow of the ghost of his disapproving father who used to own the farm.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, really. But I love that he mentions that he never thought he would go there, and he hated his dad, and he seems glad that he's dead, and
who isn't?
he had to like remake
No,
the whole.
I'm kidding. My dad's alive. We have a good relationship. Hey, Dad, you might listen to this one. So like,
All right. Yeah, but no, he's got a weird relationship with his dead dad, but now he's stuck on his property. I think for me, that's the thing that really hammers home that I feel like he's failed at something, because it feels like he had to retreat to this farm. Because I feel like if things were going better, he would have sold the farm and he would have started a whole new life somewhere. But, maybe it was just easier for him to just get this place because he already had it and just dress it up and start some silly projects raising alpacas. Each of them reveals their thing. So, Nathan talks about his dad. And then Theresa, his wife, she talks about her struggle with her self-image after she's gotten a, what do you call it, a mastectomy?
yeah.
A deboobing, I guess.
What? Jesus. Yeah.
She only recently recovered from it. And that's why they keep bringing up that they haven't been intimate in 6 months. This is the first time they bring it up, just to one another.
Yeah.
And then they bring it up again later. That's the weird thing.
I mean,
wait, doesn't he mention it on the news too? I forget. We'll bring it. We'll get there when we get there. They both have their things, but you know what, everybody? They still love each other, and that's all that matters in this cold, cruel, Lovecraftian world. So then everyone goes to bed, and then a big pink meteor comes down nearby. I mean, I don't want to gloss over it too much, but it's pretty abrupt.
Yeah.
You kind of see what everyone's doing before they go to bed or as they're about to go to bed. Lavinia falls asleep amongst a bunch of dishes. They're just like arrayed around her on her bed. It seems like a little kid thing to me. I guess some people, might do that, maybe their whole lives, but I don't know. I can't imagine. I would be so uncomfortable with a dish on my bed because I move around too much. So I know I'm going to knock it over and break it. I'm just making a mess.
You have to be a real slob to have dishes just laying there on your bed.
Sure. Filthy witch. With their just dishes just willy-nilly. That's what this movie's about.
I mean, in a way.
Yeah. So, yeah, she falls asleep amongst her own mess, I guess. As far as messes go, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Her brother, Benny, I don't know what's wrong with him. I think he's supposed to be stoned. They show him drooling and playing some kind of a space video game. It almost looked like Stellaris or something like that.
I was going to say, like, I totally can't relate to zoning out, being just stoned out of your mind playing Stellaris.
Yeah, it's the common experience in the disaffected young man's life, I guess.
Yeah.
He's doing that, and he's so out of his gourd that he doesn't see the giant flaming, like, pink comet or whatever it is, just hurtling out of the skies and just lighting everything up, like, bright pink. Now, that's like my favorite part. They show everyone reacting, and he's just, like, staring blankly at his screen the whole way through.
Yeah, see, that's unrealistic, because if anything, were to, like, interrupt you while playing Stellaris, you'd just be pissed at it.
Sure. Only Jack is really paying attention. He's up and he's being weirded out by the fact that the pterodactyl, it's like a little stuffed pterodactyl toy up on his ceiling, is wobbling around, I guess from the activity of the approaching meteor. Oh, yeah, that's right. And this is the first time that Nathan and Theresa are going to get busy. And they have like a nice little talk with each other, and he calls her his golden lady, and it's very sweet, I suppose. And then naturally, it's all just interrupted.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like to think that the meteor was drawn to the house because they were having sex.
That is such a weird convention in movies. There are so many movies where something bad is happening while someone is having sex. I could be wrong about this, but I feel like this happens more in movies that have a female as the main character, and there's like this weird, messed up implication that if you ever enjoy yourself in that way, that you ruin the whole world. You can't for a moment, be allowed to have a moment of happiness. Wait. And if you do, a comet will come out of the sky.
I could believe that, but like offhand, like what's a movie that does that you can think of?
In the show Stranger Things, there's that scene where I don't know, the oldest daughter, or maybe there's only one daughter. Anyway, that character, she has like the friend that's like a redhead who's kind of the Velma of their friendship. And she's like getting killed out in a pool. And they keep going back and forth between the girl like having this blissful, like, you know, first time experience, and then going to her best friend getting killed by like the upside down monster or whatever it was.
Oh. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't have known that one because I only watch good television.
I don't know if it is or not. I don't think I finished it, but yeah, anyway, you know, the first season's not bad. I mean, there's a reason why it's famous, sort of. And yeah, I can't think of much more. My mind immediately went back to one of the more remote Warlock movies, so that's not a good example, but, you know.
Yeah, okay, like when you start having to like cite Warlock, that might be bad.
Yeah, well, it's like Warlock 5 or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'm gonna go look it up.
It definitely wasn't the first two, because I
no.
very well.
I'm just gonna look up. Oh, that's not it. Dang it! To see Warlock films. I'm gonna cut part of this out.
Well, no. I was gonna say. While
it's
you're... Peter, while you're doing that,
yeah,
Lavinia has a copy of the Necronomicon on her desk.
Absolutely, she does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume it's the D edition, which is one of the expurgated English translations of the Necronomicon. It's a fictional book. We'll talk about it later. I actually wrote a little bit about it.
God, what was it? Golden Goblin.
So,
that's like the publisher that like. I always thought that was a really funny element of the role playing game. Is like there's just this publisher who keeps like publishing books with like real magical power, but like
yes,
censors them and like edits them just enough that they like seemingly completely unwittingly preventing this like dangerous knowledge from like actually being used for nefarious ends.
Yeah, there's an implication that capitalism blunts the edge of occult evil, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, like by taking out the naughty bits and the parts that are too weird or don't make sense,
yeah,
you're taking out all of the magical glory of the original text, and it somehow waters it down so you can actually read it without losing your mind or opening a portal to another dimension or something. Okay, so it's Warlock 3, The End of Innocence. And yeah, that's one's a little more indirect, but it's about a woman and like all of her friends in a house, and they all betray her one by one. That always struck me as a very female feeling movie because it's very much from her perspective and how important each of those betrayals is to her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It feels a little weird because we get that a lot from male perspectives and we're kind of used to it. But whenever it happens to a woman, it seems more out of place, maybe just because it doesn't happen as often, like from their perspective. I don't know. Is that a weird thing to say? Maybe it is.
No, I get what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciated that. We need more of that.
Yeah, I don't think I saw
in
that
horror, especially. I mean, with so many final girls, most of these movies aren't done in, I don't know how to describe it, but like a truly female perspective. It's kind of more objective. I don't know, like a dispassionate documentarian approach to their lives.
I guess I see what you're going for. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just off on a tangent.
No. I think there's something to that.
I was just thinking like in the original Halloween, like those kind of faraway shots of Laurie just wandering around. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's sort of from her perspective, but it never really feels like it's from her perspective. It's more like from the perspective of someone who's just watching her do stuff.
Yeah.
So Jack, the little boy, the youngest boy, he has some kind of like a nervous breakdown when the meteor comes down. There's this weird thing where I'm not sure if it's supposed to be the influence of the meteor. I guess it must be, because he gets this kind of pink light in his brain when it's impacting on the earth, and he screams and wakes everybody up. And then afterwards, he's real in shock for quite a long time, actually. So they go out into the yard, and the meteorite is about the size of a grand piano at this point. It's right in their yard. I think it's their backyard, and it is glowing bright pink and purple. I feel like they get way too close for my liking. But at least they didn't go up and touch it like Stephen King did in Creepshow.
Yeah. Or that old homeless guy in The Blob.
Yeah. There's a lot of unfortunate meteorite touching in horror films. A lot of problems could have been avoided for just, not touching something with your hand.
I feel like I'd at least have to look, though.
I would probably wear some kind of at least a rag over my mouth, probably gloves and stuff, and maybe I'd poke it with a stick. But, at least I'd try.
No, I'm sorry. Just like, realistically, if a meteor hits out in the backyard, I'm not getting gloves and stuff like that. I'm going out there in my bathrobe and I'm taking a look.
As the family debates in the living room about what to do, there's this interesting continuous shot of just Jack's face as he's sitting on the couch, kind of staring blankly. They got that sort of high whine that kind of indicates that he's got some kind of a shell shock going on, some kind of PTSD from the impact. What's interesting about it, though, is that he comes out of it. I didn't think he would, but they actually do, they have him be stunned for a while, but then he sort of recovers. And I don't know, I thought that was nice. I was a little fearful that they would have him be out of it for half the movie. I mean, granted, I don't know, he's such a weird little kid. He might as well be, so I guess it doesn't make a lot of difference.
Yeah.
So the next morning, it's little now, the meteorite has evaporated down to just a little rock, about the size of a football. So it's already gone down many times its original size. And it's just like smoking in the pit. The mayor and the sheriff show up and have a look. And Nathan tells the story of the meteorite landing, which I think I have recorded. So let me just play that for you all.
What the hell happened here?
Well, it was last night. I was in bed with my wife, and it was the first time that we, since the operation.
Why are you bringing this up?
Boom, like a sonic boom and a big flash, like a pink light. Or actually, I don't even know what color it was. It wasn't like any color I'd ever seen before, and then everything just blew up or fell from the sky.
That's what you want. You just want to be like loudly coughing after you've dealt with some weird glowing rock in your yard. It's like no color I've ever seen before. It's kind of a purple color. Haven't you seen purple before? Like, no, that's not what I mean. I mean, yeah, I don't know in terms of the film what the color is supposed to be. It's shown to us as kind of a bright pink, but I get the feeling it's supposed to be something else, something harder to identify and probably impossible to film.
Yeah.
I think I would have preferred something that kind of shimmers between colors more. I think that would have been more effective to show that something weird's going on.
I guess. I don't know. I do like that they just committed to a color, though, because I feel like when I pictured it, I kind of imagined it as an oil spill, but
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it shows more confidence in what you're doing if you just like pick one.
Sure, something that films well.
Yeah, no, I mean it makes for a good aesthetic.
Yeah, that's true. Oh man, it also made for a killer poster. All the bright pinks and stuff. It was great.
Oh,
the
yeah.
movie poster for this film is awesome. Ward, the hydrologist, shows up to check out the rock. I mean, I don't know what this has to do with water, but whatever. The more the merrier. You might as well. Come look at my rock.
I mean, honestly, in the original story, that character, who, like, by the way, didn't even have a name.
Oh, did he not?
No, yeah, despite him being the point of view character, his whole thing was just, in the story, all this stuff takes place over the course of, like, months.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of... I like that approach a little better, that it's more gradual and weird.
Yeah. I mean,
however,
I can understand why they did.
Yeah, like in the context of a movie, they just don't have time for all that, I suppose.
Yeah.
They want things to happen real quick.
But also, yeah, his character, like, in the book is basically just gradually checking in every few months and just seeing this family get more and more fucked up.
Well, I mean, I think the original story is I don't know if it was intended this way, but it comes off as like a damning indictment of poverty. That you just can't get out of a horrible situation even when it becomes unmistakable. What if the land you live on suddenly becomes radioactive? Would you be able to move? What would you do if you couldn't? That kind of a thing.
Yeah, I 100% Lovecraft didn't intend that.
Yeah.
But it is interesting how some of that bleeds through, especially there's like a point where I think the wife's name is like Amy in the story.
Oh.
Yeah, they changed a lot of the names just because like, oh, Amy was the guy. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like some of these names like don't hold up. Like know a guy named Amy Pierce, but where like the wife basically like begs the he's a surveyor in the story. Basically like begs him like take me away from here, and like in a way that's like not quite coming onto him, but you kind of like get that feeling that in her desperation that she might. Like,
if your life's in danger, I mean, like there are worse.
No.
I guess.
No, that's interesting because, like, first of all, again, one of the very few female Lovecraft characters, but also, yeah, because there is that sort of like class desperation of like she literally has nowhere to go because she like married this guy and she has no prospects outside of this.
Yeah, and there's something very interesting about that to me in the story. I remember that much. The fact that they could leave and they didn't. That the despair in their hearts killed them as much as the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess, like, physically they could have left. I mean, they make it pretty clear once the crops start going, they're done. They've got nothing.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, Ward, the hydrologist, he's checking out the rock, but, before he gets over there, Lavinia kind of sort of flirts with him, or at least, well, he looks at her boots. She thinks that he's looking at her legs, and so it's kind of like supposed to be cute or something, but he's not quite paying attention to her, and she's sorting out whether or not she feels that way. It's awkward from both of them for different reasons.
Yeah. Well, it's also a little
I think maybe
weird
she's just bored because one of the only guys that's probably showed up, around her house in like maybe months or years or something.
Yeah. Also, I don't know. They're like ambiguous.
Do they go to school? I assume they do. I don't know.
No. There's a conversation to that effect. They aren't going to school right now.
Okay.
I mean, he's clearly older than her, but they never give like specific ages. But it just like he's like a hydrologist.
It seems like it's probably lopsided.
Yeah.
Nathan sends Lavinia back in the house when he kind of picks up that she might be interested in him, I think. And then Theresa just kind of shames her for showing an interest in a man. I mean, not cool. Isn't that like what's supposed to happen? Like, why are you being weird about this,
Yeah, I don't remember. I guess like to me, I guess it came off as more like teasing.
I guess, but she's just like, think of the signals you're sending. Well, G-Mom, you want me to think of the signals I'm sending? How about the signals you are sending that you're just a dried up old crone?
But, okay, that's maybe going a little too hard on Mom.
They don't say that in the movie, but I just maybe.
No, I mean that'd be kind of funny.
And then Nathan is just like, and now, if you don't mind, it's time we milk the alpacas. And Ward's just like, what? I love that he goes and watches. A hydrologist has no reason to go check out alpacas, but he's just like, that's kind of neat. I'll go check it out.
Yeah.
We are then treated to Nicolas Cage going into a sort of bizarre reverie while he milks his alpacas. And, as I said before, I could watch this all day long. It's so fun watching him just milking alpacas and saying weird stuff about it.
Yeah. And then just drinking raw alpaca milk like he's Luke Skywalker or something.
Yeah. I find putting fennel in their feed increases the yield and improves the flavor. Yuck. All right, so Ward asks if anyone else is on the property. Nathan tells him about Ezra, some sort of New Age crystal dude that squats on their property and sells weed to their son Benny now and again.
We're going to be introduced to him in mere seconds, but can I just say this character rules?
Sure. Yeah.
He's great.
Nathan just says he's special. just how he puts it. And yeah, this is Tommy Chong more or less playing himself. He's got a colorful shack all wired up with cameras and speakers. It's kind of crazy. It's weird that he does that.
Like it. It is, but I love it. I love the whole setup.
You want to tell us about his cat, Jacob?
Well, I have to admit for a moment there, when they introduced the cat, I had the thought, wouldn't it be funny if they gave the cat the name of Lovecraft's actual cat?
Oh, yeah, I had that joke too. In my head.
Hey, here's my cat. Beep!
Yeah. Well, okay, well, to explain to the audience this weirdness that we just exchanged. Okay, so the cat's name is G-Spot, and it's really stupid. And Warren's just like, oh, you named a pussy G-Spot, ha ha ha.
It's a bad joke. It's a bad joke.
And then I wrote, as a response in my notes, at least they did not name him after H.P. Lovecraft's cat. A name I will not utter.
Yeah, you can look that one up.
Look it up if you're curious. Yeah, it's in the internet.
Yeah,
just check it out. Or don't. Maybe don't.
Okay, Peter, I don't know if you knew this, but I found this out recently. There's a picture of Lovecraft with that cat.
No, it's not his cat. I looked it up also.
Oh, it's not?
I love that there's dueling. We have dueling research. Yeah, no, it's a picture of someone else's cat that he posed with, which is weirder that he just picked up someone else's cat. It's like a friend of his cat.
Okay, because I was gonna say it would be so much funnier if his cat wasn't black.
Yes.
We
don't know.
To give your cat that name, but then it's just like a calico or something.
Yeah. What Jacob is referring to is that there's been an internet meme. It's kind of an older one where people would just put up that picture of Lovecraft holding a cat. And you're like, hey, this is Lovecraft holding his cat's name, and I can't say the name. And, people were like, well, what's his name? And then, there's a pause, while they look it up. And then they're just like, oh, no.
Yeah.
It was a childhood cat. I don't think he was even alive when he was old enough to be posing in that picture. So, I think it was wrong for multiple reasons.
I guess. I'm just saying.
It is a great picture of Lovecraft holding a cat, though, which is, I don't know, that strikes me as a little weird anyway.
Yeah.
Is there a picture of him, holding up a small dog or something, or, wearing a scarf?
I actually don't...
what's with these pictures?
I feel like I read that Lovecraft didn't like dogs very much.
He feels like a cat person.
I mean, he was definitely a cat. Well, I mean, he wrote multiple stories about how cool cats are.
Yeah, weird poetry about cats and how they walk in the land of dreams or something.
Yeah, and then there was the short story, The Cats of Ulthar.
Sure.
And it was one of his weird... He has that whole, dream escape fantasy world thing. Lovecraft also did a bunch of fantasy stuff that isn't terribly horror-related.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fun. Yeah. Sorry, I just found it. Yeah, The Cats of Ulthar is, one of his first stories.
Oh, okay. So I guess it was an early work. I thought it was his later work. Huh, that's weird.
It does... Yeah, it does feel...
It doesn't feel like him.
Yeah.
So Ward notices the water he is offered in Ezra's shack looks kind of weird. It looks bad. It is such unbelievable luck that a hydrologist with a mobile lab is just right there to be able to test the water. It's like having exactly what you need right in the middle of a problem. And you know what? It helps them not at all.
Yeah.
Not in the least. So as night falls, a storm breaks out and lightning strikes the Gardner's family's well a whole bunch of times. I'm not sure. So, the meteorite is kind of evaporating or being absorbed into the soil or maybe melting in the rain or all of the above. And I could be wrong, but I think part of it also just straight up crawls down the well. I don't know if that's true or if the energy from the meteorite becomes the creature that
Setup mode is off.
threatens them.
Just a moment while this device reconnects.
Every time. All right. All right.
Sorry, everybody. Jacob's room is talking to him.
Yeah. Well, I can't turn it. Okay, there's like a whole setup thing. I have to like leave it be.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, so for whatever reason, something weird is down the well, and it's being struck by lightning like a whole bunch of times. Back at the hydrologist's base camp, he's got a little tent he's set up for himself. Ward is unable to understand a phone call he receives. He then sees some weird shimmering shapes in the light of his flashlight. I think that might actually be one of my favorite parts of the movie, just because of how subtly weird and scary that is. That there's like stuff that's kind of outside of his sight, but is all around him, like weird shapes.
Yeah.
But then he's interrupted because the Jeep, I think it's his Jeep, it just starts on its own, and he like shields his eyes with a book. I don't know if you noticed, but it's a paperback of Algernon Blackwood's classic tale, The Willows. Do you know anything about that story?
It's one of my favorite horror stories, Peter.
Oh, is it really? Wow.
Yes, honestly. No, I love that story.
Wow.
I was happy that got a shout out.
Yeah,
I think that
apparently it was
also
influential on like H.P. Lovecraft's writing. I remember him speaking well of it in something he wrote.
Yeah, no, it's if you haven't read it or listened to like an an audiobook rendition of it, I'd suggest doing it. It's really interesting. When you finish the story, there's not a lot there, but they do. He does a lot with the atmosphere of like not something that should be especially frightening, which is like an island with a bunch of like willow trees on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say that a lot of people say that M.R. James is one of the classic ghost story writers. I actually have always preferred Algernon Blackwood. I think he's a better writer. I think his stuff tends to be a little scarier.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
There's a weird story he wrote, unless I'm wrong. I have it like it's on my bookshelf, but it's just out of my reach, so I can't like verify. But it was a weird little story about a doll with like poison, like on a needle. It was like a little possessed doll, and that could kill you. It's a pretty great story.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, man. It might be the wrong guy. Yeah, I can't reach. I'm encased in things. Oh, whatever. You'll have to take my word for it. Anyway, It was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, the Willows is, as you said, it's an island with willow trees on it, and not a lot happens, but it's kind of like spooky, I guess.
Yeah,
so it's more
I mean,
just about atmosphere.
It's almost all atmosphere, which like sounds like it might not be that great. I mean, you typically want stuff happening, but like it's very uniquely evocative. Because I think that was something that Algernon Blackwood was good with also, was just conveying a sense of nature.
Yeah.
I mean, he did The Wendigo, but like he's done like other like nature-themed horror, or did other nature-themed horror stories that are similarly evocative.
I'm so glad I have you here, Jacob, just to know that. Because I hadn't even looked it up. I've never even read The Willows. I feel like maybe I should, so maybe I'll look it up afterwards.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Awesome.
I would actually, I would go this far. I like The Willows better than anything Lovecraft did.
Oh, wow. High praise, Jacob.
I think so.
Okay, so by next morning, the meteorite is completely gone, and some rather unusual-looking flowers have sprung up around the Gardner well. A news van shows up, W-A-R-K News, WARK. It's a terrible abbreviation. It's WARK News!
I kind of like that. That feels realistic.
Yeah. Nathan gives a pretty ridiculous news interview. The family has a fun time making fun of him for it, except for Theresa, who seems to be kind of quietly losing her mind while she chops vegetables in the kitchen. I don't know why she's acting so weird so soon. Maybe it's unrelated, like she's just having a weird day. Do you think it's supposed to be the influence of the meteorite that she suddenly kind of loses a sense of herself and just like slices her fingers here in a second?
That's what I got. I mean, I guess I didn't feel like she was cracking any sooner than that, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. Because she doesn't even notice after she slices her fingers. Nathan sends their son Jack, to bring her out to watch the news interview. Like, I don't know why he needs her to be there for him to be mad at the news. I can't believe they didn't give me a comb. Like, you don't need your wife here for this part, Maybe
I
he
will
just
say,
wants like moral support or something.
Yeah. I think that she kind of comes under the influence first, probably just because, like, the character in the book is the first one who, like, really starts getting the worst of it.
Oh.
So I think it's just like a holdover from that.
Maybe so. Let me see, where the hell are we? Jack goes to get her, I guess, while she's chopping carrots. And she just slices off her first two fingers. I believe it's on her left hand. And then she just doesn't even notice. So she brings up her hand. She's like, oh, it's time for dinner. Which also, by the way, that's not true. She wasn't done cutting the vegetables. I don't know what she's going to do with them. Put them in a stew? I don't know. So, yeah, it just seems like she's really kind of lost her marbles a little bit. Kind of early in a movie, really. If this is supposed to be a slow descent into madness or something. Also, if you'll note, Nathan cooked the meal the night before. It was some French meal with duck meat in it and other things. And the family hated it. And so then the mom very quietly told them. He was like, oh, I'll cook the next one. So.
Okay, actually, I will say first time I watched this movie,
I blame him.
I got a little upset. Especially Lavinia, because, you know what? The dinner sounds good.
Yeah, I didn't catch the name, but it was supposed to be a French delicacy or something.
Yeah.
Well, she calls it peasant food. But I don't think Nathan cooks it well. I mean, I don't know. I feel like if Nathan had cooked a better dinner, then his wife would not have tried to cook dinner the next night and would not have cut off her fingers. This is Nathan's fault.
Yeah. No, yeah, I could believe that. In a way, the whole thing is his fault. He should have just cooked better.
Yeah, or not tried to have sex with his wife. I mean, that's what really brought down the meteor.
I mean, that's the theory I'm working with.
Wait a minute. Oh, that's right. The hydrologist saw Lavinia doing the ritual, and then when she emerges from the house, he's just like, well, did you call this down? And she's just like, as if, like, my magic's not that good. Maybe that was the movie, like, throwing that out as a red herring in case you want to blame witches for stuff. You could blame her. Sure, why not?
I don't know about that.
I think they're just kidding around, but yeah. It's just,
yeah.
I like it when they throw out options, although that's not one that I approve of personally. Like I said, I love witches, so I don't want them to be the butt of jokes. Well, no, jokes are fine. The butt of persecution. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Nathan puts Benny in charge and drives Theresa out to the hospital to get her fingers reattached. They live very far out in the woods, so they have a ways to go, and it takes them all night, basically. Nathan very explicitly tells Benny to bring the alpacas into the barn by 10. Benny does not do this. I'm just going to tell you right now, Benny is a slacker.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up given their situation. Come on, man.
Well, okay, it's not clear about the way time passes. It seems like time only goes away when it's inconvenient, and you never go forward in time. I thought that would have been cool too, or if you go back in time. It seems like they only lose time by some kind of selective memory loss, where they're just like, oh, I can't remember what happened, and then suddenly it's way further in time. But, they never go backwards. I've seen in the descriptions of this movie that there's supposed to be like disruptions in the space-time continuum and all this. But really, I only see it going one direction. It's just you losing time, which is kind of a bummer. If it did both, it would be way more fun.
Yeah, the color does seem like a bit of a bummer.
Seems like an unfortunate happenstance to have the color show up.
Yeah.
Well, consider this scenario. What if Benny or someone had asked Lavinia, or someone else, about the meteor, and she's just like, what are you talking about? There's no meteor in the yard. And he goes out there and it isn't there. And then later on, he goes back out there and it's there again. Like he's going back in time as well.
Okay.
Maybe that's too weird.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say I got two problems with that. The first of all being that opens the door for a "did it really happen" interpretation,
Yeah.
which is bad, and I don't think any movie should ever do that. And then two, yeah, I don't think this movie needed that element of confusion on top of it. I kind of like
Sure.
that it's like maybe not super straightforward, but it's at least like you know where it's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, it stays fairly clear, or at least it's only just confusing enough to be fun. So I suppose maybe you can't get things too muddy. I don't like some of the things that the color does. We'll get to that. But I guess this part's okay. So Sam the dog follows Benny around everywhere. He is a very sharp-looking dog. His coloring almost makes him look like he's part wolf. I don't know what the breed of dog is, but it's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like it might be some kind of a shepherd dog or something, or a sheepdog, but I've never encountered it before, so I can't speak to that.
Mhm.
The dog is played by two real dogs. No, wait, it's three dogs. I saw on the IMDb. There's Leia or Laya as Sam the dog, and there's Mina as Sam the dog, and there's Afro as Sam the dog. It's got to be a breed. I mean, you can't get so many dogs that look identical and not have it be something like that. So now finally we get to that part of the movie where it goes out of its way to show everyone drinking the water. Now that the meteorite is totally gone and like absorbed into the soil. Couldn't you use a nice glass of water? Wouldn't that go down great just right now?
Oh, okay. You know, I will say this through line of like being out in the woods and not being able to trust your drinking water added an extra special layer of relatability to the horror in this movie.
Sure.
I've covered that before, but not being able to trust your drinking water is you don't think about how often you rely on being able to just like go to a tap and get clean water.
Yeah, really. That's part of why I think it's more accessible as a poverty issue, like a class issue. But the movie chooses to sidestep that. Instead, they do a lot of this nonsense where electronics don't work and phones don't work. They lose track of time, so they're not able to organize. It's sort of like the color has to manifest all these reasons to keep them from leaving, which I honestly kind of don't like. I would prefer that they just choose to stay or choose to go. And like, why does the color have to care, you know? If it's like this great cosmic being, it probably shouldn't give a damn either way. You know, like what you do. Whatever, stay or go, I don't care.
Yeah, I like not to like get into it too much, but like that's horror movies in general. I mean, like movies in general don't tend to focus too much on class. But one of the reasons that I feel like bad horror movie logic can happen so much, like in just the idea of like a haunted house movie, is that these movies tend to ignore class. The whole like, well, just move thing is like,
how?
Yeah, no, that's like actually not realistic for a lot of people to be able to just up and move, you know?
Yeah.
But movies...
You hear stories of sexual abuse or whatever where, you know, you find out that someone's doing something and the circumstances are so dire that they can't leave even though they know it's happening, which is just so horrible, you know?
Yeah, so like I feel like if... Not to rail on it too much, but these movies are written by people who are like generally well off enough to like not have like an understanding of this stuff. You know what I mean?
You think they're speaking from ignorance? You know, they don't understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it's so pervasive that like you wonder, or at least I wonder, you know, if it's that. You know, I'm not saying necessarily it is, but it just like it feels like such a common element of movies in general, but I feel like in horror movies it feels especially pronounced. It's why I think part of why Stephen King stories they tend to be more cognizant of class. And I think that's part of why they feel more realistic.
Yeah. I think just because he really savors character studies and stuff, he's able to capture that Maybe not always on purpose, but whatever, however it got there, it's there, and it does improve the story quite a bit.
Sure, I mean, like, this is like kind of like a dumb example, but like Graveyard Shift. Literally, nobody would willingly get themselves into that predicament unless, like it is in the movie, or I presume the story too. I've only watched the movie, where it's just like you go down there or your ass is fired.
That is a movie, by the way, for those who haven't seen it. It's about people going to have to clean out the basement of a cotton mill, and it's got a horrible monster down there, but they just can't afford to not take the job. Like, these people are desperate, so they have to go down there. Well, I guess they're not really quite aware that something's down there, but it slows their being able to leave because of it, because of the whole class thing.
But that's the thing, is like in like so many other movies they would just like ignore that, and then it would be just like, well, like why not leave? It's like the story just answers it right away. Like if they leave, they're out of a job, and then they're screwed.
Similarly, in The Mangler, there's this horrible haunted machine that eats people's hands, but it's hard to quit a job even if it eats your hands. Like even if people knew. Things are bad enough in some places, you might have to work around a haunted machine anyway, regardless.
I mean, I guess not to get like too dark, but I mean, people work around machines that mangle you all the time, and they're not evil. It's just like,
sure,
you know what I mean? You just get like a bit of clothing caught in a lathe or something, and suddenly your fingers are gone.
Yeah, I worked for exactly 1 day at an Amazon warehouse when I was desperate. They have all these pull-outs, I don't know what you call them. They're like they're wheels like on brackets, so that you can push around packages on all the little wheels. I don't remember what you call those things. It's kind of like a conveyor belt, but it's just little spinning wheels. Yeah. And those things will devour your hands, and they'll pinch your skin. It'll rip it off. And so they, instead of making it safer, they just have a rule that if you touch those things with your hands, you are fired, like right then and there. So it's like they choose not to blame the machine. They blame you for touching it. How dare you touch it? This thing that destroys you.
Yeah.
It's your fault. That was one of maybe a half dozen reasons why I chose not to work there. It's pretty terrible.
No, fair enough. I was going to say, I did see a rather unfortunate video out of China where someone... I mean, let's just say they make them a lot bigger, and they'll eat more than your hand.
Oh, wow. Dear Lord. All right.
Nightmare way to go.
Okay, so back to it.
On that note.
Yeah, on that note. The alpacas drink the water and start acting strange. Jack starts talking to someone he calls the man in the well. Lavinia drinks the water and gets some intestinal distress, to put it politely.
Okay, I really dislike the man in the well thing, because I feel like it anthropomorphizes the color too much.
You don't like that? I like calling him that just because it gave him a name. Well, granted, then I start calling him, but he's not really a him. It's more of an it. It's not even a... Is it a presence? I'm not sure if it's even that. It's like something beyond that. I don't know.
I guess.
It's like being inside of something's brain, like the neurons are firing and just like you're getting in the way of it, like it's almost like it's disconnected from you.
I don't know. I prefer how the original story treats it, where like everything that happens seems really incidental. Like there's no malice to it.
Yeah.
And it just like it shows up one day, this thing that I guess it is a thing, because at the end it just leaves for seemingly no reason, which is like also equally like horrifying.
Yeah.
It's just like
which also spoiler alert is that's how this movie ends. So yeah.
No, I'm just saying that like it feels more impersonal in the story, which I like. It's just like it was there for a time, it's gone now. Whatever its effect was is like not like it cared.
Yeah, it's like it just sat down to rest for a while and caused some chaos and then just left. It's like you sat on an anthill by accident and you look down at the ants and you're like, I don't care, whatever, bye.
Well, yeah.
But the ants are people, Jacob. They're Nicolas Cage and family. Okay,
Oh,
so
did we mention the?
yes.
Sir, did we mention the
Yeah, go
really
ahead.
like gnarly mantis that was like?
Yeah,
popped out of the well?
that's right where we're getting to this part because Jack
Oh,
talks about
right.
there's a man in the well. He looks down in there, and I thought at first that he saw like a pulsating brain, but then it opens and a little weird pink praying mantis comes out with too many eyeballs, which is a cool scene. I do like that thing. It's a good design.
Yeah, although I like it, but like, it also just aside from the eyes, there are praying mantises that just look like that in real
Yes.
life.
Praying mantises,
So, I mean,
if
like-
you've ever looked at them up close, they look real spooky.
Yeah, but just sort of like, I feel like that you maybe should have done a little bit more to make it more obviously out there. Just because, like, I mean, like, it did pop out of the brain of a creature, but it's like, yeah, I mean,
I
like,
think that's what happens. Yeah.
yeah, but it's like that's just what praying mantises look like.
It did open its little praying mantis mouth and like little tentacles came out, but that was about it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I guess, yeah, I remember that.
It just kind of gives them the raspberry before it flies away. It's just like, bleh.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Nathan tries to call home from the hospital and Lavinia picks up, but she can't understand what he's saying. It just comes out as like weird muffled yelling. Ooh, scary. Okay, it's a little scary. I was thinking that it would be funnier, or not funnier, or maybe spookier, if they were getting calls, but it wasn't from them. They're just like getting calls, like, and you hear your dad's voice, but it's muffled. And then you're like, well, why did you call me like in the middle of the night and say weird stuff? And he's like, I didn't call you. Then who was phone, Jacob?
Who indeed?
All right. So a local news report on the TV in the Gardner house mentions Dunwich, Innsmouth, Aylesbury, and Kingsport, which are all locations in Lovecraft's fictionalized version of New England.
Yeah, I feel like Lovecraft didn't do enough with Kingsport.
Yeah. I don't remember much, but yeah, I think it was only one or two stories.
It was the that seaside town with that the terrible old man.
Which terrible
like-
old man? I think
Well,
half
I
the
mean,
stories of terrible old men.
Well, no, I mean like literally from the story called the terrible old man. But he
Was that the? Oh, I was thinking of the cold air guy who like melts himself, but that wasn't the terrible old man.
No, that guy also rolls, but no, they just like had some funny like details about him that like he's like a very malevolent figure in the town, but like I love the idea that he like goes into town and pays stuff at the general store with like Spanish doubloons.
Wouldn't that be great?
Which is like yeah, no, but that's the thing. It's like to show how old he is, but also just like as a character trait. That's very funny.
Here you go. I got some pieces of 8. That should cover it. Here you go. Some
Yeah,
little-
just
little slivers
have
of gold
some-
coins.
Yeah, I have some huge novelty pirate treasure coins. You want these?
Yeah. Do you take gemstones and pearls? What about a locket of a mummy's hair? How about that? So this movie is meant to be the first in a trilogy of Lovecraftian films that was going to be made by Richard Stanley, the director. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I do like that kind of optimism. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'm going to make a whole bunch of these.
That would be nice. Did they say what the others would be?
No, or at least not that I know of. I didn't look enough into it, into his false promises. I don't believe it, to be honest. I'm not sure if this movie was enough of a success, really. I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I feel like it would have needed to have been a bigger hit to guarantee it.
Yeah, Peter, I can look this up right now for you, and I'm telling you it's not happening.
Please.
So budget 6 to 12 million, box office 1 million.
Yeah, I did know the box office, but I didn't know the production costs. Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, so
oh no.
So 100.
I'm so sorry, everyone.
100%. Yeah, that is not happening. Also,
You know, they're probably just guaranteed that the audience is probably isn't going to care about this either. Like, oh, that movie I didn't watch. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and that's weird because I don't know. I feel like Nicolas Cage is like usually more of a pull than that. You know?
Yeah, you'd think.
I don't know.
All right. So Lavinia gets stuck having to clean up the bloody cutting board in the kitchen. She loses track of time and suddenly the sink is overflowing. And she gets another call she can't understand. And then she feels sick and she has to puke. Like, they're really piling on all the weirdness onto her, like, all at once. All of these weird things.
Yeah.
And then Ward knocks on the door and he just stopped by to tell her the water is bad and maybe not to drink it. I like that it's, I don't know, he thinks it's like a friendly call, but it's, it seems like it's a bigger deal than he makes it out to be. He's just sort of like, maybe you shouldn't drink the water. It feels more like it should be like 1000% do not drink this water. You have to get out of here right now.
Yeah, he undersells it.
I guess he's trying to be polite. They never say what he finds in the water, which vaguely disappoints me. But then again, whatever he says, I would then have looked up and found to be wrong. So maybe it's better to just, use your imagination. You're like, whatever, there's something wrong. There's weird little parasites in the water or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say they shouldn't try and, like, science up the story, but in the original story, they do go over, like, all the different ways. Because, like, in the story, it's not just one guy that shows up. It's, like, a whole bunch of people from, like, Miskatonic University who, like, analyze the hell out of the color. And they go over all the different ways that it reacts to, like, different chemicals and whatnot. It's like Lovecraft doesn't often science up his stories like that, but it is very funny that he was like, oh, and this is how the color reacts to silicon, and this is what it reacts to, like, acids, and it's like, all right.
At least they tried.
Yeah.
After that, after Ward unsuccessfully tries to get Lavinia to listen to him, I mean, I don't know. I think she stops drinking the water at that point, but it's probably too late. I guess if you drink any amount of it, you're just doomed.
Probably.
Yeah, so then he goes off to Ezra's shack out in the woods. Ezra has his shirt off and he's recording static of aliens, he says, lives under the ground. I kind of hate that he's right,
Okay.
He sounds so crazy.
The thing is, I really love old conspiracy theory, like, paranoid hippie-type characters, and you really don't get much of them anymore.
Not anymore, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, because unfortunately, like, all those people have, I don't know, fried their brain on way more annoying conspiracy theories. But, but you know what I mean? Stuff like relatively harmless stuff like aliens and, like, signals and whatnot. It's like, it's cute, it's fun.
I consider those Arizona weirdos, like the crystal guys who are just more kind of mystical and passive. They're more like a good time. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's a stereotype, but I like to think that those guys who go out in the desert, and just meditate are cooler dudes, dudes and ladies.
Yeah. No, I've encountered a few of those people, and they're generally chill. Okay,
so Theresa's surgery is successful. She offers no explanation why she cut her fingers off. I mean, I kind of wanted her to say something, but she doesn't. So, whatever. I guess it's whatever you want it to be.
Menopause.
What if that was it? Just like out of the blue. Oh, by the way, also this. Or that she was like pregnant or something. Oh, God. One last chance.
Jesus. Okay, also, I kind of like your Nicolas Cage impression.
I don't. It's really hard to do his voice, and so I just whatever. This is just me doing it,
It's funny. I like it.
They almost run over Ezra's cat. Yeah, he kind of says that, like, oh, you won't recognize it, man. They do find it, and it is a monster, so I guess he saw that it was a monster and he was kind of cool with it. I mean, he didn't seem that upset when he was talking to Ward. Oh, hey, by the way, my cat drank some water and became a monster. So, like, maybe watch out. Be on the lookout. He looks like a chupacabra now.
Well, I was going to say, when I first saw that, my thought was, oh, that's just one of those hairless cats.
Yeah.
That's, like, not a monster. That's just what hairless cats look like.
They do look pretty monstrous, just normally. They look like Gollum.
Yeah, Gremlin-esque.
Precious.
Oh, they're great. We have too many dogs to have a cat, but, like, it'd be great to have one.
Oh, no. I know, I was saying like precious as in like my precious. Like, no, the idea of touching a hairless cat makes my skin crawl. That sounds so gross to me.
Have you ever done it though?
No, I haven't. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's nice, but yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
it looks
I
so
like
weird.
it. It's like, okay, I don't know if this makes sense, but it's like warm, soft sandpaper.
Okay.
That
is really weird.
Yeah.
All right, so back at the Gardner house. I'm gonna get off this subject.
Sorry,
Lavinia. She's waxing poetic about hairless cats.
I can't. Yeah.
Lavinia and Benny are losing more time. All of the electronics in the house are acting funny. They can't understand what Theresa is saying when she calls to check in. And so when they get home, Nathan just like loses his cool when he gets home with Theresa, only to find that the alpacas are wandering around in the dark. So, I mean, I think Benny loses track of time, so it's not exactly his fault. But I wonder if he's just sitting somewhere during that time. Or maybe he lost track of time, but he was also lazy. So even if he had lost track, he wouldn't have done it. Maybe he just doesn't remember not doing it, so he doesn't feel shame. Oh, well,
okay.
I might have done it if I had remembered, but in a way, this is a godsend, because now he doesn't know that it was his fault or not.
I am going to offer up an alternate theory.
Sure.
Which is that this movie takes place slightly in the future, and Stellaris just released the new Overlords DLC, and,
Wow, that is such a timely reference, Jacob. I might actually get this edited in time that will have any kind of coherence to someone, but yeah. Dear Lord.
I know, I'm sorry.
Just eats all his time. It's a black hole for his attention. Also, this is the first point when he loses his cool with Benny for letting the alpacas just wander around, and he starts doing the weird nasally voice from at least one that I first heard from Vampire's Kiss. I don't want to describe that movie to anyone. I think you should just see that movie. It is technically a horror film. Well, question mark. It sort of is. It might be. It is so strange of a film. I don't know. I feel like it's some kind of a landmark in strangeness that it even exists. I feel like it should have been canceled. Like someone should have seen the dailies and been like, "Oh, this can't see the light of day." But it did. It exists. They made it. I can't believe the editor when he was making it was just like, "Oh, this is okay. I guess we could. I guess I'll put my name on this." You know what I mean?
Also, yeah. Before, don't. If you haven't seen the movie, don't look up funny compilations of scenes from the movie. Yeah.
Watch the movie all the way through, beginning to end.
Yeah, it's not the same.
The clips from Vampire's Kiss are amazing. I will say that. And watching them out of context is incredibly funny, especially when he puts in the fake vampire teeth in one scene.
But yeah.
But no, watch the movie and then go back and savor those scenes. That's my recommendation as well. If you're going to watch it, it's not a good movie. Watch it by yourself and then judge whether or not you will unleash it on other people. But it is a movie that should be seen. It is the strangest Nicolas Cage movie by far, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny to say it, but it is a stranger movie than Mandy.
Yes. Even though less happens in it.
Yeah, it's a far more mundane movie than Mandy, but it is far more strange.
Yeah. So, embarrassed at his own outburst, Nathan goes to take a shower in the gross water. Some kind of, I don't know, jellyfish structure builds up in the drain. And when he tries to, pick it up, it attacks, I don't know what it attaches to his hand. It's it kind of grabs onto him.
Yeah.
It's very strange. And then it just runs away down the drain when he drops it. I don't know what that's supposed to be. I guess it's all the same thing. It's all just an extension of the color, which makes it seem like it's some kind of a weird semi-aquatic looking creature. Either that or the color just makes these things kind of spontaneously. That could also be true, that it's just kind of creating stuff around it.
Yeah, in the original story, it's not creating anything, it's just corrupting stuff that's already here, just by being around.
Yeah, I mean, weird flowers are already popping up, and you're getting these weird insects and mantises and whatever.
Yeah.
Weird pollen mist is starting to move around. Later on, you see some really beautiful shots of the yard where it looks like Alice in Wonderland or something with all these bizarre bright flowers and just vines everywhere.
Mm.
Once you see that jelly thing in your shower, though, as the dad, you should know it's time to go. There's no excuse for this. Why would you stay at... I mean, he is a super wealthy guy. We've already talked about this class thing. I mean, he could just go and it would be super easy and it wouldn't be a big deal. You could go live in a hotel for like a week and then by the time he got back, it would probably all be over. Why are we staying here?
Yeah.
Go to Disneyland and just see what happens. You know, like when you get back, see if your house is still there.
People that wealthy have basically no excuse to get involved in a horror movie scenario.
There was a bad SNL skit. I like it, but I think it was Kristen Wiig, and it was about this lady who was inviting someone over. I think it was the Twilight girl, whatever her name is. She was going to watch the house, like a house sitter, and Kristen Wiig keeps getting weird phone calls, like as she's trying to explain the job to her. You know, like, oh, you got to take care of this, and hello? Who is this? Stop calling me here. I'm leaving town and there's another girl who's going to be here all by herself and she'll kill you. And then she like would hang up. Wouldn't that be so much better of a premise for this movie? These should be the family that leave and then they hire a house sitter because they're jerks. They're just like, all right, just stay in this house and just hope for the best. Don't worry about it. We just need someone to open the windows every now and then. There might be a monster in the well, but, you know, just don't worry about it. Just call someone on the weird spooky phones.
This is like not related, but when you were first describing this, I know it isn't Kristen Wiig, but I thought you were going to talk about Kristen Stewart SNL Totino's like fake commercial.
Oh yeah,
which is
that's also
like,
strange.
That is such a funny sketch. SNL, it can be funny sometimes.
Yeah, it was two Kristens. It was Kristen Stewart and Kristen Wiig, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that house sitter, well, maybe. I don't know. I could be misremembering, and then I don't want to have to edit this out. You know what? Just take it or don't, whatever. The skit exists. That's the important part. Anyway, then Nathan goes into his room, and he gives like this horrible speech about the bad smell that's been in the yard ever since the Color Out of Space came. And he like insults his wife and just brings up, oh, you know, the cancer, you know all about that. You know that smell, that rotten milk smell. Jesus Christ. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, so I'm going to do a little comparison. I actually have a little clip from Vampire's Kiss, and then we're going to compare that to a clip from this movie of Nicolas Cage talking about the cancer smell. So we're going to start with Vampire's Kiss. Now we can contrast and compare. All right, so here we go.
Now, I just want you to be here and listen to this song and dance that I have to do. That I have to do because you haven't done your job. Ready? Yeah, hi, Frank. How are you?
All right. Also, for context in that clip, I mean, he calls Frank, and then Frank is just like, oh, no, everything's cool. And then, you know, Nicolas Cage has to pretend to be super mad about it because, you know, he wants to torture his assistant, Alva. The whole movie should just be called, like, torturing Alva. That poor woman. Alva! Okay, so, all right. Here's the one from this movie.
I've been smelling ever since the night that thing hit the farm.
It is like the black mold in the basement.
It's exactly the same smell as the cancer ward where my father was. You know, death, disinfectant, the cancer smell, rotting milk. You know the smell. You know the cancer smell better than anybody. And now the dog has vanished off the face of the earth.
I told you
so connect those dots.
By the way, he's just like, oh yeah, the dog's probably dead. We can't find the dog.
Okay.
I love that. He says it right in front of his son. He's just like, whatever, the dog's dead. Who cares? Shut up.
Okay. Those two voices are completely different.
Oh, you think so? All right.
Yeah, okay. Jeez. All right.
Way to step on my whole thing.
I'm sorry. The first one is more like theatrical. And the second one, I'm sorry, it's very Donald Trump.
Yeah, you know what? In retrospect, it takes kind of a Trumpy direction. I don't know why he does that.
I don't know.
But they both do that thing where just kind of like, you kind of, you're mad, we need to, like kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something that Nicolas Cage occasionally chooses to do as an actor.
Yeah. I mean, like, to be clear, they're not, like, a coded reference in the movie. The voice just sounds like that.
It's just a weird coincidence.
It's clearly not, like, an intentional thing, but just, like, if you hear it, it's like, yeah, that's Trump.
All right, so the next morning, Nathan is in better spirits, I guess, even though he's covered in hives. Ever since he took a shower, it just ruins his skin. And for the whole rest of the movie, it just gets scalier and scalier and just worse and worse.
Honestly, I can relate to that too, because I had a foot that was like that for a while.
Ugh. That's too bad.
Yeah, it's not great. But he did this thing where he just dipped his fingers in his drink and was just rubbing his arm, and I'm like, I can relate to that. That's
I've rubbed booze on my wounds.
Not booze, because Jesus, and then maybe it would sting. I don't know, but like water or whatever. If you're just drinking a glass of water, feel your skin acting up.
Nathan he's out in the garden, and he's just covered in weird space insects. Well, the garden is covered in weird space insects, and the tomatoes are suddenly ripe and enormous. He's like, oh, a month early. This is great. And then there's this weird scene where Theresa and Nathan both get really mad at each other really quickly, because Theresa's a day trader, as we've already established, and she needs that Wi-Fi to live, to support the whole house. And she says she's hemorrhaging customers or clients or whatever just because she cut her fingers off. She couldn't tell everyone, oh, I have to take half a day because my fingers were severed. I had to get them put back on, you guys just chill for a couple of hours. I guess they were just no.
You think the market cares about that?
Yeah, I guess not. The market's just as indifferent and as the raging ocean, just they don't care about nothing.
Serious as the dark side. Anyway.
Yeah. Dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
So she goes downstairs and yells at Nathan for not checking the satellite dish, even though he did. It's just the color is messing up the signal. She's just looking for someone to blame. And he's not listening to her. He's biting into tomatoes and just spitting them out and getting childishly angry and then slam dunking each tomato into the trash can.
It's great.
It went from 0 to nuts real quick with this family, with just both of them acting real strange.
Yeah. Also, just from an acting standpoint, that was probably very fun to do.
Yeah. Just slamming tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
10 points. All right. So then Nathan puts some contaminated ice in his whiskey and he rubs it on his wounds, and there's purpley pink hallucinations in the TV, it's hypnotizing him, I think, which I think is cool. I don't know. I wonder if too many things are happening. Maybe it should have been just the hallucinations or maybe just the contamination in the water. It's a little weird that it's both. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's she just kind of shows that everything is messing with them. Every aspect of their lives has been infected. But Lavinia has the good sense to plan to run away. Spoiler alert, she never gets to, but I mean, at least she tries. The thought occurs to her, and she packs her stuff, and she's about to go when she realizes or remembers that she has a paperback version of the Necronomicon, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Probably the Golden Goblin version, which is well, speaking of which, I'm talking about this like it's a real thing. It's not. This is all made up. The book isn't real. I actually wrote a little bit about it here. The Necronomicon is a book made up by H.P. Lovecraft, but he freely encouraged his contemporaries in writing to reference it in their own stories, and a lot of them did. As a result, the Necronomicon is almost as famous a fictional book as the entirety of Lovecraft's fiction combined. It's almost a separate entity. People just assume it's a real thing, it shows up in movies. People like reference it all the time and make fakes of it and recreations and whatever. Apparently people often incorrectly believe it's real and that it was just referred to, which is great.
Well, yeah, I mean, so like, I can kind of, if you didn't look it up, I can kind of see why you might think that, though, just because it's so pervasive in pop culture.
It's in a lot of movies that don't necessarily need it. I mean, it's in all of the Evil Dead movies, Army of Darkness. And it's in Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. The Necronomicon just shows up.
Yep.
Yes, everybody, you heard correctly. The Necronomicon is in a Friday the 13th film. It's canon in the franchise. There's also a magic dagger in that movie. I mean, most people choose not to acknowledge anything from that film, so take that with a grain of salt, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lavinia decides to use the Necronomicon to try to save herself and the family. She uses a box cutter to carve glyphs all over her skin. I mean, I guess to be intense or something, Yikes. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure why it's in the movie. I guess maybe because it's cool, but that's a weird thing to say about self-harm or whatever.
Yeah, there's like a really brief scene early on that kind of alludes to it where she gets stressed out and she like pinches her skin.
Oh, so I think you think that it's like a thing with her? That's how she deals with stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the implication without being too like explicit about it.
Yeah. While that's going on, Benny and Jack go to investigate a noise in the barn, and there is something bad going on in there.
Also, to be clear, self-harm, not cool. Ritual scarification for actual magic, that is cool. Sorry.
You heard it here first, folks. Okay, so back to what I was saying, because this is like the coolest part of the whole movie.
Yeah, yeah, it is. No, I know.
All the freaking alpacas have fused together in the barn. They're like a giant mega alpaca, like an alpaca Voltron. They're also enshrouded in pink tendrils of energy. So, I mean, it's not clear whether or not the alpacas are even a threat. I lean on, frankly, that they aren't. I think that it was just incidentally that they were all combined, and it's more like the pink tendrils are the real threat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what those things would do.
I mean, they're kind of, they look all stuck together. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I really appreciated that scene because there was like, when I watch these movies, I know we're doing like a podcast of, I'll watch it and kind of, I guess like filmmaker brain on. And I was like, so when the alpacas showed up, I was like, that seems like a really specific animal.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to put in your movie.
Yeah. So, like, what's the payoff going to be for that? And then when they did that, it's like, oh, that's the payoff. They look really messed up when you fuse those things together. That's great.
Indeed they do, Jacob. Indeed they do. Yeah, so Benny outruns Jack to the point where Theresa has to run out of the house to go pick him up. Like, the older brother just bolts, and like little Jack just can't make it. He falls over, because he's, I don't want to call him an idiot, but I mean, sort of. He's not good at staying alive. So his mom has to run out there and pick him up. And the tendrils grab them both, and I don't know. I'm not sure quite how to describe this. I guess they just, they get kind of mixed together, sort of,
Yeah.
They become Theresa Jack.
Brundle family.
Yeah, Brundle family. I actually do have it written as Theresa Jack from here on out, so.
All right.
Way to go, Benny. Way to go. Got two of your family members mutilated.
I like that better than in the story where, like, it's really depressing because, like, the wife just ends up being this horrible. I mean, they don't even describe what she is at the end, but she's just this thing that the husband walks away up in the attic, and he's like, we'll just deal with that later.
I mean, that's, we'll get to that, but I mean, there's some
stuff
here as well.
but I don't know. It feels like they did more with it here.
Yeah. So this is when you realize what kind of a movie this is truly going to be. I mean, it went there.
Yeah.
Are they going to mess up a kid? Yeah, they're going to mess up a kid. Are they going to like fuse him with his mom? Yeah, they did it. Yeah. So you're either in or you're out. I mean, this is a little bit hard for me. I mean, actually, the concept. Okay, here's the thing. I am a horror fan, so I'm not opposed to this horrible concept. It's more these subsequent scenes, because this goes on for a while, for this next little while, where you listen to both of them wail and moan and gibber. Like they're just in perpetual pain. Like they're lost in a nightmare they can't get out of. It's really hard to deal with. I mean, I feel like it could drive people to like turn the movie off if you're not prepared for that. I got through it okay, but I could see people just being like, nope, I don't want to hear little Jackie boy just whine and call for his dad, and not be able to see him even though he's sitting next to him.
Yeah, I mean, I can't relate to that, so.
Just like, I don't care at all.
Yeah, sorry, I mean, like,
well, whatever. Moving on. Yeah, they drag it onto the couch. And they try to call for help. It doesn't work. Nothing works. Nathan tries to start the car, but it's not working either. So then Nicolas Cage proceeds to have a full-on freak out in the car. I just love it. I just love it.
It's really good.
I recorded it, so here we go. I'm gonna play this too.
Okay, sweet.
Nicholas, I think it went on a little too long. No, you need to show the passion. You need to show just how upset I am. You just don't see the verisimilitude of the moment. Oh,
I
God.
like it.
Yeah, it's a good scene. Yeah, just beating up the car, just yelling.
Yeah. And the shot immediately afterwards of him stepping out of the car, and you see the article, the pollen, and that is great. One of my favorite shots.
It is a beautiful shot. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of when I wrote that Alice in Wonderland thing earlier. It's just because it is really beautiful. And it makes it seem like, well, maybe this isn't. I mean, maybe this is bad for them, but maybe this is good for a different kind of life, or something. Maybe this is just a transition to a new thing, and it requires the old thing to die.
Yeah.
You find out later that's not true, but at least for a time there, you're just like, well, I don't know, maybe there's a method to this madness. Like in The Mist, it was similar, where like it was just the atmosphere of another universe pouring into ours. So you get all the insects and weird stuff coming through, which were scary to us, but, we're just normal to whatever planet or universe they're from.
It sort of reminds me of Call of Cthulhu. That one's kind of interesting.
The story.
In the way that the actual story, not the many, many games and other things that have also carried that name. There was a passage here that I brought up here because it gives a similar feeling to that, where like it's not like it's bad for the people living here, but not necessarily for like what's coming after.
Yeah.
Gonna read it real quick. Then the liberated old ones would teach them new ways to shout and kill and revel and enjoy themselves, and the earth would flame with a holocaust of ecstasy and freedom. And it's just like, I mean, like, that's awful, but it's like, but yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it's just something different that we can't imagine, and is incompatible with what we are.
Sure. Okay, so Nathan goes back inside and he drags Theresa's Jack up to the attic and just locks him away for a while. And then he grabs a shotgun and goes to put down that wad of alpacas in the barn. And, honestly, they die pretty easy, and I kind of feel bad about it. You only get one good look at them, and I kind of love it. It looks like a monster from John Carpenter's The Thing, like just a mass of limbs and heads and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good puppet or whatever it is, some kind of practical thing, I believe. And yeah, it looks great. I wish there was more of that in films in general. But
yeah,
I think everyone's admitted at this point that it just can't be done in at least the way things are currently done in the industry. You know, it just has to be CGI.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that's annoying. I mean, this is like an overdone anecdote, but there's that sequel they did to The Thing. Where it was,
it's a prequel movie
filmed,
also called The Thing, which is very confusing.
And it was filmed entirely with practical effects, and then later on the studio came in and was like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, well, I did see a little bit of the clips from the practical effects versions of it. They didn't have a lot of it. But what I saw didn't look very good, so I wonder if it was just true. They're just like, well, listen, it might have worked, but not with what you've made here. And
I don't know.
Then maybe you have to remake the whole thing, and maybe it would be a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's possible. Also, they only showed bad footage. I mean, they didn't have time to polish it up, so maybe it would have looked better if you filmed it correctly or lit it better or something. I don't know.
I'm just like, for early stuff on the shoot, I think it looks fine. I feel like that's the attitude, though, is that like it has to be CGI.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe so. It's an old argument at this point. We've been having it for
yeah. Okay, yeah. I will.
We're
say,
on the end of this now. We're all resigned to our CGI fates at this point. You know, we've mostly.
Oh yeah. My last word on this. Okay, if you wonder why the Iron Man suit in the first Iron Man movie looks better than all the suits in the other movies, it's because there were like practical props used.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's just the truth, you know.
Less fun to wear though. I mean, I think Robert Downey Jr. probably enjoyed just walking around with like, you know, balls on his face or chest or whatever, just so he wouldn't have to wear that crap all the time.
Yeah, well, maybe he should suffer for his art, and by art I mean Marvel movies, which are not art.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. People just hate them because they were successful.
Yes. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the enemy or whatever. I forget how that quote works. Close enough. So Lavinia started the movie casting a spell trying to keep Theresa safe from cancer. And now here she is forced to abandon her mother and her little brother when Nathan asks them to leave the room so he can kill them with the shotgun.
Yeah.
It's a very emotional moment. They don't play it correctly because this movie is not really from Lavinia's perspective. But it's an interesting little arc she has, and they don't really address it too much. She just has to abandon her mom, like even though she spent the whole movie wishing her well and, you know, using her magic to try to protect her. And then, you know, Nicolas Cage just walks in and is just like, hey, I'm going to shoot your mom. Get out of the attic, you know? And she's just like, well, I guess we tried. So, all right, go ahead. It's a shame because Nathan, Nicolas Cage's character, he's a coward and he just can't bring himself to do it. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say coward. I mean, he just can't kill his wife and child. I mean, it's a difficult choice. And, you know, honestly, if he had waited, it might have just become something that he could have kept as a pet. I mean, it seems like it heals up pretty nicely in a little while. So, yeah, maybe it was just going to become something else. Some horrible new thing that they could just live with.
Ugh. I don't like that.
I mean, that's what happens in the book, right? They just put the mom in the attic because she's like a weird thing.
Yeah, but not like as a pet. It's more of like a terrible, shameful secret.
Well, I mean, it can be both. You can have a shameful pet.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, Clover, how's it going? She's asleep.
Don't address you're going to wake her up and she's going to mess up the podcast.
I know.
All right. Oh, yeah. So Lavinia and Benny plan to leave on horseback, but Comet knows better than to stick around in this mess, so he just bolts off before they can mount him. I don't know why, but I just find that so funny. The horse is just like, nope, I'm out of here. Bye. And then the dumbest thing ever happens. Benny hears his dog that's been missing for a while. I don't remember when the dog becomes missing, but at some point in the midst of the color, he went missing. And now he can hear the dog's bark down in the well. And he's like, I've got a good idea. I'm going to go down this well right now, even though we were about to leave because we're in mortal danger and my dad is about to kill my mom upstairs. I'm just going to go climb down this well, and I'm going to get my dog. I feel like, I don't know. This feels like a first draft of this scene where like they didn't work it out. Where they're just like, listen, we need this kid to just die. We need him to go down that well, and we need him to die. And they don't really, they don't really justify it properly. It doesn't really make sense. No. And he just, I don't know. If he's going to just die, like, why not just kill him some other way? Like, have the thing come out of the well and kill him. That would have been nice. But no, he goes down there and just finds a bunch of flesh, and it just pulls him in. Yeah. What was the point of that? He was going to get away.
To be clear, there is not a person on this earth that I love enough that, like, if they were down in a well, that I would climb down in a well to get them. Not happening.
Even in, like, normal circumstances?
Oh, well, yeah, not normal circumstances, because, like, you never know if they're going to not be normal, because who knows what's down the well.
Yeah. He could have just lowered a rope, but then again, it's a dog, so it's not like it's going to get in the rope or anything or grab it. I don't know. I think maybe just don't worry about the dog. Just come back later. Even if you heard your dog down there, maybe just say your goodbyes and get your ass out of there.
Yeah.
They say later, I think Lavinia says, when she's starting to lose her marbles a little bit, spoiler, I guess, that it won't let them leave. The color doesn't want them to go for some reason. So maybe just do that. Have him be like hypnotized, so at least then it's not his fault. If he was hypnotized to go in the well and he just threw himself down it, that would have been so much cooler and it wouldn't have been his fault.
Yeah.
But as it stands, he just looks like an idiot. What are you thinking, boy? You could have gotten away. You could have been free. You had a girlfriend in Aylesbury, or so Lavinia said. He's like, hey, you still have that girlfriend in Aylesbury? And he's just like, no, she was never my girlfriend, and we haven't talked in months. It would have been so funny if they had gotten away, and then that's where they go. They just go to, like, his kind of sort of ex-girlfriend and be like, hey, can I crash on your floor for a while? My parents are dead.
I wish more movies did that kind of thing. I mean, like, it's not the same thing, but, like, I don't know, if you ever seen that movie Green Room, that has an ending that's kind of like movie. That. Where
it's very intense.
Yeah.
And that ending, it might as well just be like, well, all of that just happened. Guess I'll just leave.
Yeah.
Okay, so Benny dies. Of course he does. And then Lavinia flees back to the house. Nathan comes out looking pretty deranged. He grabs Lavinia and drags her into the attic. He's lost his marbles at this point. After he chooses not to kill, the mom and the son, he seems to kind of accept his fate and just kind of join the darkness. Like he's just going to go with it, whatever is happening. So he's like, okay, well, I can't kill my wife, but I will feed her my daughter. So let's just do that. And at this point, it didn't take long, but Theresa Jack has solidified into something functional and dangerous. Now it's suddenly able to move around pretty quickly, and it seems pretty hungry. Like I said, you could have kept it as a pet. Maybe you should have handcuffed it to a radiator or something. I don't know.
I guess what I feel like this comes down to is that we, like, fundamentally disagree on what the concept of a pet is.
Well, okay, I don't know. I was just thinking of finding a way to keep it alive, but is it human at that point? I guess it sort of talks a little bit, so maybe it is still them, but I don't know how much it is anymore. I don't know. It's not clear. They're not very good about establishing what it does to people when it combines them.
From an ethical standpoint, you should probably treat it as, a person.
Yeah. In an earlier scene, Wade, the hydrologist, and Sheriff Pierce found some pretty funky roadkill near the Gardner farm. It's like a bunch of animals just all mixed together, like a Katamari ball or something. Like, there's a dog in there, and there's a cat, and all kinds of stuff. So, they go to his house, and Nathan just invites them in. I mean, at this point, he's just totally lost his mind, and he started to hallucinate that Theresa is downstairs with him, even though she's upstairs as a monster. I guess he's dissociating from reality. He's just kind of descending into his own fantasy. But Lavinia is still in the process of being attacked by her own mother, who's trying to eat her, I guess. And, Nathan doesn't care, but Wade and the sheriff are like, hey, I think something weird might be happening upstairs. Could we just go have a little peek? Just like, yeah, sure, I guess, whatever, you know. So, yes, they go in there, and Nathan, of all people, finishes Theresa Jack off. He has to shoot both heads, which is a nice touch. You know, that like it doesn't fully die until you kill it 2 different ways.
Yeah.
Both of its brains must die. Kind of a bummer you have to watch little Jack die, but you know what? I never liked him anyway, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what's the bummer for you?
Yeah, I mean, earlier they were saying, like, the mom seems to be absorbing him, and I was just like, good. Do it. You never should have come out of her in the first place. You were a mistake. I'm sorry, that's a little hostile. I'm sorry, little Jack.
Yeah.
All right, Theresa Jack is dead, and Lavinia has been attacked, and she's covered in her own self-mutilation, you know, glyph cuts. And so they pick her up, they're going to take her to a hospital or whatever. And then Nathan is hypnotized by the well to shoot Wade with the shotgun, I think. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm not positive, but I think that's what was about to happen. And then the sheriff shoots Nathan in the back to stop him.
Yeah, that's about how I thought it went down.
Yeah, so I guess it was a mind control thing with Nathan anyway, not the sheriff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nathan isn't too upset about it. He compares his wound to a flower, which I thought was kind of poetic. Yeah, it's like a flower. His delusions seem to make him cool with whatever at this point, so, you know. Sure, I got shot. That's not so bad. So, okay, let's put things on pause for a moment, and we need to reevaluate the state of things in this movie. Theresa, Jack, and Benny are now dead. The dog is dead. The alpacas are dead. The horse ran away. Even the cat G-Spot is dead or gone. Nathan is dying of a gunshot wound. Lavinia is covered in self-afflicted cuts and was just almost murdered by Theresa Jack. The only 2 able-bodied men with responsibilities, mind you, hear a noise out by Ezra's shack and want to leave Lavinia behind with her dying father to go investigate. Are you kidding me right now? Like, how? I feel like everyone's motivations just fall apart at the end of the movie, and they're just like, listen, we need to separate a couple more times before this ends. I heard a noise. Let's go investigate a noise. Tommy Chong is in danger.
I could see the sheriff splitting off. It doesn't make sense for Wade to do the same.
Well, if you're thinking of like medical triage, we already have 2 people who are in bad shape. You know, Nathan's dying. I mean, he might already be about to die. It's not clear. I mean, he's on his way out. But Lavinia needs medical attention. So if they were to save Ezra, they would probably lose Lavinia by saving Ezra. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they were being optimistic that she would be okay. But she was just attacked by a cannibalistic mother monster. So I don't know if she got a bunch of wounds from that or not. I just feel like they should have just cut their losses and be like, listen, he's some weird old squatter. I mean, I don't want to judge, but I mean, we just don't really got time to be going out there right now.
Well, I think it's kind of messed up to make that kind of calculus with people's lives, especially when one of them is Chong.
Tommy Chong, America's favorite.
I know, okay, it's funny. I actually did like that he showed up in this movie, but gun to my head, I don't think you could get me to like come up with like a Cheech and Chong movie that I actually liked watching.
I don't know if I ever did either, but I wonder if it was big for people when it came out. My parents' generation seemed to really enjoy it, but even they said after the fact that they were like, oh, I don't like it now. So I wonder if it had a very temporal, you know, like temporary thing. Like it was very timely and thus didn't stand up at all.
Yeah.
Next time on Gorman on Gore. I'm going to have a lot of question marks as I describe this.
This old man is laying into this kid with that pipe.
And he just cuts open his leg very graphically, and you just watch him do it. And it's actually really great. What the hell is going on? That's exactly what the audience is saying at this point. You're just like, I don't know what this is.
The old guy's watching the movie.
He speaks for all of us.
Tetsuo, the Iron Man.
I don't think anyone's decisions at the last third of this film make sense. Well, nobody but the horses. Comet had the right idea. But he just bolted. I'm just gonna get the hell out of here.
I mean, seems like it worked out.
Oh no, it definitely did. I wish there was like an end credits scene where you just see the horse just running around in the woods fancy free. Wow, this is amazing. So Sheriff Pierce and Ward go to Ezra's shack to save him. You know, they can hear him talking loudly. That's how they knew he was there. They heard a noise out by his shack. Turns out it's a recording of his voice saying weird stuff about the color. It's sort of the movie trying hastily to explain it. I don't know that it really succeeds. I mean, I guess it's sort of like Tommy Chong's theories about what he thinks it is, but it's kind of more abstract philosophical assertions than facts, you know? I mean, it's not like Ezra knew anything.
Well, maybe he did.
No, maybe he did.
No, he didn't.
It's just a color, but it burns. Man.
Honestly, that's a great trailer line.
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah, I mean, he just kind of theorizes that it's like sucking up an area. So it's slightly different from the book. In the book, as you were saying, it just kind of shows up, it causes some mischief kind of incidentally, and then it leaves.
Yeah.
Whereas this thing, it seems more like it's draining a whole area dry. Like it just takes everything. So I guess the mutations are all sort of incidental as it's taking over everything. So I guess the mind control and all of that is just encouraging stuff to stay long enough to be sucked up into it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have an interesting, or I mean, like maybe interesting to me. I don't know. Maybe nobody else will give a shit. So, I feel like the ambivalence of the greater power encountered by the characters in a Lovecraft story is fairly crucial to a story being considered Lovecraftian.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that is difficult about these movies. I like Lovecraft in story form, but in movies, the bleakness doesn't make it as fun. Because in order to prove the ascendancy of these cosmic beings, it has to come at the expense of most of the human characters. To really prove how insignificant people are, they have to be laid low pretty thoroughly. They have to be completely ineffective, which in some ways that hurts the story structure for a traditional arc, especially with characters you're supposed to like.
Mm-hmm. There's clearly a malevolence with this thing that there isn't in what you would consider to be like typically like the Lovecraftian horror of like.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the thing that's always bothered me about Catholic horror films, is that it's so self-centered. And I don't know, that sounds really insulting. I'm sorry. But what I mean is that, when it's like the devil, it's like, I'm here to ruin your life, like your life is so important and I'm going to ruin it.
Yeah.
Whereas with Lovecraft, it's like, oh, I found this horrible thing. And if you were able to talk to it, it would be like, who are you? What? I don't care. I don't care about you. Like what's going on? Oh, I was bothering you?
Exactly.
Whatever. Listen, I'm running on a millennia long schedule. I didn't even know you were sentient. I thought you were just like fungus or something.
Yeah, or like The Shadow Out of Time. I feel like that's an underrated Lovecraft story. That one's great for that because it's like, oh hey, your life was completely ruined and overridden by an alien intelligence for years. For no particular reason, they just needed a body. Yeah. You were just what they got. Yeah. You were unlucky. You didn't even it's not even wrong place, wrong time. It was just lotto.
Which one was it? At the Mountains of Madness, where they proved that the human race was just like some bastard offspring of gross slave people that they brought to do work for them to.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Boy,
that's
boy,
like...
is that depressing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that one's like... That's almost more... Because people at the time were, like, struggling with the idea of we're just apes or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, it would be so much worse if we were just an unintended consequence.
Yeah, which, by the way, is part of why I kind of like Prometheus, because it seems like the human race is just an unintended consequence of some guy committing suicide in a river a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I think? I don't know. That movie's weird, so yeah.
I do kind of like that movie. Like, the look of disgust on the engineer's face.
Well, yeah, when he sees the people that woke him up, yeah, they're just like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah, just like... Yeah, and then, like, their, like, machine comes up and starts talking to them, and it's like, hey, we're like you, we made something, and he's just like, I have to kill this.
Yeah.
I
have no time for you.
Well, no, it's not even like that, it's just like, the idea of them being around is so disgusting to him. Yeah.
There's currency in this concept, and I think it's going to be an ongoing theme, especially in more kind of sci-fi-ish horror, at least good ones. There's this weird indifference of the stars, that like in the grand scheme of things, that everything that you've ever hoped and cherished is just nothing. It's dust.
Yeah, it
taps into something that's very interesting.
It's a little bit more puerile than that, but this relates back to... we're watching this on Shudder, or at least I am, streaming service.
Oh, were you? I actually bought this when I was on vacation, so this is like in my private collection.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I should. But I watched another Shudder thing called The Spine of Night, and it's a little bit like, it's like fantasy horror-ish in sort of like, you remember that old animated anthology movie Heavy Metal?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay, it's it's like that.
Yeah,
but like
that's one of those classic boner juvenile boy animated movies. Yeah.
Oh, you'd better believe that you see just shot after shot of like rotoscope Lucy Lawless's tits in this movie.
All right.
So like they're clearly like going off of the same. There's the same DNA there.
Okay.
It deals with similar ideas of cosmic irrelevance and how awful it would be to learn that,
That's always fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of cosmic...
It's alright.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, maybe I'll look it up. Yeah, what was I saying? Speaking of cosmic irrelevance... The sheriff is rather unceremoniously dispatched by a mutated tree branch. It just like reaches up and grabs him.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know the trees were doing that, but I guess this one is. So yeah, now the sheriff's dead.
I mean, not the worst way to be killed by a tree.
No. He dies pretty quick. He has something go through his face and then he's dead. I mean, considering how bad some of these deaths have been, I feel like that was kind of a mercy. Maybe this is for the best. If you're going to die, that's not too bad. I was going to say that the sheriff was useless, but he did shoot Nathan and save Ward's life. So, hooray for him, I guess. Sorry, man. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
All right. So Ward runs away and he finds Lavinia out by the well. Despite her incantations, it seems the color has finally corrupted her. She's like literally glowing. Her eyes are glowing. It looks pretty cool. It's in a lot of the trailers and stuff. In order to cement that it's a strange Lovecraft movie, she shows him a mental glimpse of the color out of space in its homeworld and just like what it was like in its environment. It has some like 2001 color stuff too. There's a bit of that. And that's always good. It's good fun. Mm-hmm. And then the color out of space emerges from the well and just hurtles out into the clouds. I mean, you said in the story it leaves, and here it also leaves. It's just kind of like, well, this is good enough. I've killed enough of you. I guess I'll go now.
Minor detail, do you remember the name of the horse?
Well, I wrote Comet. Let me check. It's in the cast list. So there's two horses that played that horse. In the movie, it's Comet the horse. It was played by Zabanga the horse and Ulysses the horse.
the only reason I don't even know why I remember this in the story when the unnamed surveyor is fleeing the color as it's leaving the property, he rides out on a horse named Hero. I thought that was kind of funny.
Amazing. No, man, Ward should have gotten on the horse. That would have been a great ending. I wonder if they shot that and then they couldn't get it.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed because like the ending of The Color Out of Space is like pretty evocative of like just like this like huge upheaval as this guy is like fleeing on a horse like across a bridge.
Yeah, that sounds
it like I don't know. It feels like a good moment for film, so I don't know why they didn't do that.
Probably would have been hard to shoot the fleeing horse thing and then having to put the CGI cloud of stuff coming after it.
I guess, yeah.
Instead, it absorbs Lavinia. It just kind of disintegrates her right then and there. Or maybe she joins it. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, maybe it was good it happened, but probably not.
Yeah, almost certainly not.
Oh, that's right. Instead of Ward fleeing on a horse, he goes into the house and he sees like phantoms of the whole Gardner family, and they all say weird, dreamy things to him. You know, like Nathan says something in Lavinia's voice, like, "Hey, are you looking at my legs?" He's like, "No, I wasn't looking at your legs the first time. It was your boots. They had cool things on them, and I wanted to look at your boots. You didn't let me finish. And now you're dead."
I really liked your...
I really liked you, even though you're probably 10 years younger than me or something. I don't know what the range was supposed to be.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I really liked your Invader Zim sticker on your boot.
Yeah. I'm not sure why, but I really like seeing them. Maybe it means that their consciousnesses were part of something greater, even if it is just in the thrall of some horrible cosmic creature. Maybe they actually got on to Hail Bop, you know, and they're actually... They're in some kind of weird monster heaven now.
That doesn't sound good at all, Peter.
Well, maybe not.
That sounds really bad.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess it depends, you know, philosophically and theologically, like where you stand on stuff. I don't really believe I'm going to go anywhere. I don't know. I don't want to alienate people saying that. So, like, I would prefer monster heaven over non-existence. I'd rather continue to exist in some form, greedily, you know. If I could put if I could put my mind into a RoboCop body, I would do that. I would go into a computer. I would do all of those things. I would trap myself in a book like Harry Potter style, you know, any of that.
Okay, I would agree to some of that, but like, I don't know, man. Forever is a long time to be with yourself.
Well, I guess we don't know what the nature of the relationship would be, but it does seem like you're kind of trapped in a dreamy nightmare place, so yeah, maybe that's not so good.
Yeah. Sometimes dead is better.
Dead's better.
I can't do that guy's voice. But...
No, it's hard. It's because it's the Munsters guy, and he's all doing a Maine accent.
Yeah.
You know, it's two different kinds of voices I can't do, so yeah. A lot of history down that road. It uses up a lot of animals.
See, no, yeah, you can do it. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. All right.
That's a Pet Cemetery reference, guys. Check it out. He's actually really good in that.
Yeah.
Whatever that guy's name is. The Herman Munster guy. Rest in peace, that guy. Okay, so Wade hides in the center. I'm getting tired now. Okay, one more time. Wade hides.
Yeah, we're almost there.
We're almost there. Wade hides in the cellar. He emerges from the ruins of the Gardner house like shortly thereafter, and everything is now white ash. All the plant life in every direction has crumbled to dust in the night, or was absorbed as the color left. I'm almost afraid to say it, but it reminds me of the end of Predator 2 when Danny Glover comes out of the ashes after the ship takes off. A classic movie if ever there was one.
I was going to describe it as some sort of blasted heath.
I think it's actually mentioned as such. Yeah. I remember that phrase, but I don't remember what it meant.
Yeah.
It's a Lovecraft reference, right? To like one of the stories or something. It kind of looks like... Oh, well. All right. Well, it makes sense then, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly, it does look like the Tunguska, how we call it, like that huge explosion in Russia that wiped out like a huge circle of trees. I think they found out later that was a comet that came to Earth and then exploded just above the tree line, and so it blew all these trees down and just killed all the life in every direction. I prefer to think that it was a test weapon of an alien device, but whatever.
It's one of those things like the Dilatov Pass incident where, like, if you look at, I don't know, 3/4 of the evidence, it's like, well, there's got to be some sort of supernatural thing going on. But then, like, there's, like, an actual explanation that's like, oh, that kind of sucks. All right.
Yeah. Although, honestly, I mean, if it was an exploding comet, that is equally astounding. That's just a weird thing to have happen.
Oh, yeah.
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 Okay, so the whole movie, over the course of the whole movie, it had been alluded to in clips and, whenever the mayor was speaking, that she was erecting a huge dam to supply drinking water to all of Arkham or Massachusetts or wherever. Now that the horrors at the Gardner estate are over, the dam is built in earnest and fresh water is available for everybody. Hooray! Let's all have a big frothy glass of brackish water.
I mean, I guess that is the real message of the movie is invest in infrastructure.
Well, the color out of space probably left, so it's probably okay, but it might not be. But even, I don't know, like, what are you going to do to stop it? I don't know. I prefer to think that it's just as bad there as it was and everyone's doomed, like the whole state. They're all just going to become monsters or something.
Well, I mean, the fact that everything turned all to ash kind of makes me feel like the presence is just gone.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So, I mean, maybe the whole idea of the dam is undermined by the ash. Maybe they shouldn't have done that. They should have made it just kind of seem gone, but they're not sure. That would have been way more frightening, because then they could have had scenes where Ward is like trying really hard to get people to not make the dam. And they're just like, forget it, man. It's Chinatown. That whole thing.
Yeah.
That was about water too, guys. Look it up. Also, if you want an ending, another horror movie ending with polluted water dooming everybody, you can see Cabin Fever by Eli Roth. I'll leave it at that.
We're not doing that one.
There's two versions of that movie. There's a remake, and it looks exactly the same as the first movie. I don't know why they made it. It must have been like some weird money-making scheme or something.
Wait, hold on. I mean, with pancakes? It's like a shot for shot?
It's almost a shot for shot. I don't know if it has the pancakes kit in both. You know what? I'm going to look that up, because that's important. This pancakes kit.
Yeah, no. All right.
You got it.
While you do it, no, don't worry. While you're doing that, let's go, guys. We're almost over.
We're almost there.
Hope you had fun. Yeah. I had fun.
Well, I don't know. I know it exists, but I'm looking up the Wikipedia right now. Let's see. At the general store, Dennis bites Burst's hand just as he did with Paul. Okay, so a kid does bite his hand. I don't know if he says pancakes, so I'm not, I can't prove it.
All right.
The remake is incredibly boring and is not worth seeing. I mean, the first movie, honestly, is not worth seeing. But the remake is even worse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the movie was kind of fun for being like a gross out thing, but
yeah, I guess that's what it was going for.
You were so excited to show me that movie the first time.
Yeah. I feel like there's a time in every man's life when he wants to show someone else Cabin Fever.
I mean,
that was the summer of Peter.
I don't mind. I mean, it was funny.
Yeah.
But just like explicitly, you were excited to show it to me because of the pancakes scene. And I remember,
that's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, the pancake scene is so good. If you haven't seen the movie,
no, it is. But
look it up. Look up the pancake scene from Cabin Fever. Out of context, it makes no sense. In context, it makes no sense.
It's literally unbelievable in the sense that we could tell you what's happening in the scene and you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But I just remember like seeing it and like I did not get it the way that you got it. And I was just like, Peter, this is dumb as hell.
Yeah. Maybe I should describe it a little bit. Okay, so a boy,
Yeah.
a slow boy does karate and only says pancakes. And then he attacks someone and bites them while they're saying, no, kid, no pancakes. And yeah, and that was in a movie. I mean, there's no preparation for that or context, really. It's, we're very little. So it's like an internet meme before that was a thing. Before there was a reason for that to be like that.
Yeah, God, if the movie, like...
Pancakes!
I feel like maybe if the movie released, like, 5 years later or something.
Oh, yeah, it would have blown up.
Because it was... Yeah.
Okay, so...
It was just kind of, like, on the cusp of that. Anyway.
Yeah. So, the movie's over. The last shot of the movie shows that weird little pink mantis flying over the title of the film. So, okay, so the ash is gone, or the ash shows the color is gone, but the mantis decided to stay. So, I guess they're still doomed, or maybe it's just threatening that, it's possible, I suppose.
I guess, yeah. I didn't like that.
You don't like a threatened sequel or whatever? Or just nothing was solved?
Well, not to one where the story is so, like, definitively over.
I guess that's true. It was very final.
Yeah.
And there you have it, Jacob. There you have it, everyone. That's
right.
Color Out of Space. It's got 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. I would not have guessed that. I don't think it's worth that. But I'm glad it was well received, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by those who saw it. I mean, you said it only made $1 million. So I feel like maybe they were preaching to the converted, on this one.
Probably.
It's got 70% on Metacritic, though, so critics kind of liked it. 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb. Mm-hmm. Relatively well received.
A question for you.
Sure.
Since we finished this one up. I mean, and this might be obvious, because, it's obvious for me, but maybe not for you. What do you think your favorite movie adaptation of a Lovecraft story is?
Well, that's a tricky question, because a lot of Lovecraftian movies aren't strictly from the stories. So do you mean something directly from a story, or do you mean something that's kind of in the style?
Directly from the stories.
That's a little harder.
The adaptation doesn't have to be, like, super accurate, but, like, at the bare minimum, it needs to have, like...
The title?
The name.
Yeah. Probably Reanimator, I think. It might be my favorite. See, I want to say my favorite Lovecraft movie is In the Mouth of Madness, but that's not strictly Lovecraft. It's just very similar. It's in the theme of it.
Yeah.
We've already mentioned Event Horizon. I love that too, but it's not really a Lovecraft story.
God, I'd have to agree with you on all three counts.
But yeah, directly off of it, I don't know. I kind of like Dagon, but I think it drags a little too much. It's like there's so much of just running away from fish people in Innsmouth, Like it's so much running.
Yeah. That one has like fun stuff, like the, fish lady, which was just like wild.
It was pretty weird. That movie, by the way, for the audience, that's about a boy whose birthright is to become a fish and mate with a bunch of fish people. And, he doesn't know this. And so he goes to a gross little seaside town and he gets chased around by people, not realizing that he's one of them and that he's part of some kind of prophecy to mate with a fish queen or whatever.
So, like, in the original story, it's very, like, first of all, it's, I think it's the Shadow over Innsmouth that they take the...
Yeah, that's what it's called.
But yeah. The thing is, in the movie, though, the fish queen lady that he's, like, she's, like, hot, though.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, so what I'm saying is, it feels less, like, nightmarish to be like, oh, you're, like, gonna be, like, an important ruler in Undersea Kingdom, and also you get to mate with, like, a hot lady.
I don't know if that's necessarily... See, I don't know if it's necessarily a horror story in that sense. I think it's more like you being thrust into a destiny you're not ready for, that you didn't know about. It's almost like a coming-of-age tale, except you're going into some unknowable cosmic horror, or whatever. Oh, you gotta throw your whole life away.
compare that with, like, looking into a mirror in horror as you realize, oh, I'm getting some really fishy features and, like, a strong desire to, like, swim out some terrible undersea grotto.
Fertilize some eggs.
Like, that sucks. Like, that sucks. Yeah. But, like, in the Dagon movie, it's like, I mean, sucks your other girlfriend died, but, like, I mean, this new stuff you have going on can't be that bad.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I think they were just trying to sexy it up a little bit, or, I don't know. Add some wonder.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's an okay movie. I think it was made for, like, sci-fi or something. It's you know, it's a little cheap, but, it's acceptable.
I think it's a foreign film.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
It does feel that way. There's an awkwardness to it.
Yeah, I like it too. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you compare that to Reanimator, and that's not even close.
So I don't think Richard Stanley is going to be able to make the other two movies he wanted for this.
Yeah, probably not.
But how did you feel about this movie, Jacob? What's your rating on a 1 to 10 scale?
I kind of feel bad doing this. I would say it's a 6.
Oh, you wanted to give it more?
The thing is that, well, yeah, kind of. I mean, like, because the movie has a lot of stuff that I like in it, but, like,
yeah,
I don't know. I guess maybe it should have gone harder on some of the psychedelic stuff. Maybe that would have, like, done it for me. Maybe a little bit more cohesiveness in how the color acts and attacks the family.
Yeah, the rules are vague.
Like the stuff with all the... Yeah. It's like a lot of little things that you could improve on. As much as I like the character Ezra, he like, exists for 2 scenes.
Yeah, and really at the end, he's just there to get the sheriff killed, basically, to just go looking for him.
It doesn't amount to... I don't know. Give it another pass or 2 on the writing or whatever. And also don't be afraid to do the Beyond the Black Rainbow thing where it's just like, yeah, we're just gonna like have like weird psychedelic imagery and that will be the plot.
Sure.
You know?
I mean, yeah, you can go real weird with these Lovecraft stories and it's not out of character for the story. You can just be as weird as you like.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and I don't hate it. I like it, but I can't rate it very high.
Yeah. I give it a 5 out of 10. The plot and motivations kind of fall apart at the end, and that really bothers me. I don't like a movie that doesn't end well. And, well, I don't like a bad ending, but that's besides the point. I actually just mean like it just doesn't tie up. It seems like almost everyone's motivations kind of fall apart as it goes along. Personally, I'm irritated that the monster had to mess with technology and wanted to keep people from leaving. We've already talked about how, Lovecraft stories are good about the indifference of these creatures and like how they just don't care. We're just like in their wake rather than as part of some kind of vile plan, or at least one that involves us.
Sure.
However, all of the effects are really good. When she cuts off her fingers, Theresa, they really do look like real fingers. The alpaca monster looks great. The color out of space looks cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all looks pretty good. I don't like the Theresa Jack thing. That just listening to the moan for however long that was, it was like 5 or 10 minutes. It felt like a very long time. The effects of it looked really good, but the idea of it was so unpleasant. I don't know. I'm not sure what I would have done to have changed it because it is bizarre. It sticks in your mind, which is good, but I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of a softie about the suffering of children or something.
Yeah, I think that's the case. If we're being honest.
The cinematography is lovely. The soundtrack is pretty good. So yeah, 5 out of 10. It's good. It's not great. I don't know. I mean, maybe I could see it going to a 6, but I don't like a downer ending a whole lot, even though that is more or less in keeping with Lovecraft stories. This isn't too far afield from any of those short stories. They're all kind of like this, where almost everyone dies.
Yeah. People say that, but there are like a decent amount of Lovecraft stories where like they do triumph. It's usually that they triumph, but at a cost.
Yeah, they have to be like the harbinger of some terrible revelation or something.
Yeah, well, like I defeated the evil, but also like I'm a nervous wreck for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I do like watching Nicolas Cage cage it up. It was a good time.
Yeah.
He really elevates the movie with his bizarre antics. I suppose the bleakness of the ending is offset slightly by the silly and fantastical nature of how it all gets. So, I don't know. You might not end up feeling too bad at the end, despite how unpleasant some of it is. It could be worse. Definitely.
Yeah.
Jacob?
What?
There are 375 plot keywords on IMDb for this film.
Jesus Christ.
This time I cheated. I admit it freely. I went through and found my 20 favorite plot keywords. Well, okay, actually, at first some of these I prioritized because they were high in relevance, and then some of these are just because I wanted to. So,
okay,
now
hold on a second.
You're going to be able to guess which ones
Sorry.
are relevant and which ones are just chosen at random by me.
Yeah. Okay, wait, hold on. I want to, suggest something. Why don't we just do that from here on out? If a movie has a bunch of tags, just pick the favorites.
Sure. You might be disappointed anyway, but, I did my best here to curate this somewhat.
No. Well, no. I'm just saying that, I feel like way too often it's just yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Some curveballs would be appreciated.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right. Anyway.
So I'm going to read these in no particular order. This is just 20. And you're going to be able to guess whether or not you think that people found it relevant or not. Okay. Higher relevance means that people agreed.
Sure.
Okay. How about we start with this? Denim shorts.
Wait, who the hell?
It was Lavinia.
No, that's, obviously. Oh, God.
There's always these pervs.
People. All right. Yeah. All right.
There's something interesting about this. I chose this one because this is anti-relevant.
Okay.
1 of 3 people found this relevant, which I love. That means that 2 people went out of their way to say it wasn't relevant. So it was a contentious issue. How dare you, sir? Actually, I'm going to cross these out because I don't have them listed this way on my sheet. I don't want to read the same crap again. Okay. Meteorite. Relevant or not relevant?
Obviously relevant.
Yeah, this is maximum relevant. 4 out of 4 people found that relevant.
Yeah, okay. It'd be weird if that wasn't the case.
Purple praying mantis.
It's literally in the movie.
Yeah, no, it's not relevant. That's just one I chose because I thought it was neat. Well, one person found it relevant enough to mention it.
Okay. Okay, whatever.
It's so specific. Reference to Algernon Blackwood.
Not relevant, but fun.
Yeah, not relevant. Let's see. Farm.
I guess. The fact that it takes place on a farm isn't exactly, relevant to the movie, but it does,
3 out of people found it relevant,
it's
Jacob. It's pretty high on the list.
Okay. Well, all right.
Okay. Cosmic horror.
Yeah, obviously relevant.
Yeah, 1 person found it relevant. Alexandrian ritual. Is that relevant, Jacob?
No, because that's not what the ritual was.
Yeah, I don't... Why did they list this? It's not relevant. Yeah, no one found it relevant. So someone wrote it and everyone else is just no. Wrong.
Oh my God. Yeah, I bet there was some asshole who thought they were so clever putting that in there.
Yeah.
A reference to that one line in the movie. Yeah, well, good job.
Yeah. Milking an alpaca.
Okay, I guess it happens in the movie, so I guess it should be considered relevant.
Yeah, how often has that ever happened in a movie?
I know, but that's not relevant to the movie, but it does happen in the movie.
Well, 1 person found it relevant, so that shows some agreement.
I get, yeah.
How about this? Woman explodes.
Wait. Oh, yeah, I guess Lavinia kind of does.
Yeah, I was thinking, I guess. I think she more disintegrates, but yeah. And no one found that relevant.
Yeah,
so someone wrote that and everyone else is
no. I don't agree with that.
Talking to a peach.
Okay, again, like I don't understand what the metric for relevance is. I guess, sure.
Someone found that relevant. Yeah, Nicolas Cage
Okay.
picks up a peach and he talks to it at one point when he was picking them.
No, I know, but like, yeah, but I mean, like,
This is important, Jacob.
no, I know, but it's like,
Okay, well, how about finger slicing?
yeah, that's going to be irrelevant.
No one found that relevant.
What? Oh,
Only one person wrote that, and that's it.
Actually, horseshit. What is wrong with these people?
All right, how about the color magenta? Anyone find that relevant, Jacob?
Okay, it's true, but I don't think anyone's going to find that relevant.
One person did, so that's fairly high on the list that any one person bothered to say it was relevant. The maximum so far has been 4 people, so, one isn't bad.
I know, I'm biting down on my lower lip to, like, suppressing the F word.
All right. Well, I should just mention this off the bat. There's also talking to a tomato.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, it's just as relevant as talking to a peach. They both got 1 relevance.
Yeah.
Almost hitting a cat with a car.
I mean, it happens, but it's, like, too specific. I'm going to say no.
1 person found it relevant, so, yeah.
God.
It does happen in horror movies a lot. There's a lot of car accidents where people narrowly avoid a cat or something else. It's usually a cat.
I guess that's true. Yeah, that's true. All right.
Hydrologist. How about that?
No.
2 people found it relevant. It was actually one of the tops.
Wait, really?
Yeah, hydrologist.
God damn.
Man.
All right.
How about alpaca?
Yeah, relevant.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it got 3. It was one of the tops. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a defining feature of this film, really. I mean, despite its irrelevance to the story, I mean, it could have been any creature there, but yeah, I mean, no one else is going to be doing that. I guess it stands out.
Okay. Offhand, can you think of any other movie that features alpacas as prominently?
Well, okay, there's something I forgot to point out earlier was that Nathan says in the movie that the Mayans had alpacas and they knew what was up. It turns out that that's not true. I found out later on IMDb that that's a goof. They weren't up in Central America, in North America. They were only down in South America, like, in the Incan Empire. So it's wrong. So if they're limited to that area, I was trying to think of like movies I've seen that are in like Chile or Peru or something like that. And not too many. So yeah, maybe not.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe that is like something fairly unique to that movie.
Yeah, there's got to be a movie about conquering Peru or something, or the Inca Empire. So I bet, in that movie, there's probably a ton of llamas and alpacas.
I guess, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like people like alpacas, though, so it's weird that I can't... Even as, like, a joking reference, I don't know.
All right, how about this? Teenage girl wears a cape.
All right, yeah. Sure.
Nope. Yeah, no one found it relevant.
Okay, all right.
We only got a couple left. Implied cannibalism.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, 1 person found it relevant. I mean, the mom was going to eat the daughter. Or at least we think. I mean, I don't know. The dad certainly thought so. Okay, 2 left. Box cutter.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 person found box cutter relevant. And yeah, it's sort of relevant to the story. I don't know that it did anything. The cutting didn't save Lavinia or give her an edge or even cure her upset stomach. I think it didn't really do anything, but maybe it just gave her a cooler death. It allowed her to live long enough to be absorbed rather than crushed or killed or something. All right. Last but not least, murder of family. Was that relevant, Jacob?
I feel like people probably look that up. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 person found it relevant. And and that's actually pretty central to the story, so it should be relevant, right?
Yeah. Okay. Just want to look up something real quick.
Sure.
I did find a movie that seems to strongly feature alpacas, but that's actually not what I was.
Oh, wait a minute. The Emperor's New
up.
Groove, right?
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay, this is not even.
He turns
that,
into
though.
one of those things. I don't remember which thing.
Oh shoot! I think it's a llama in that one. Because like, okay, I can visually tell them apart in real life because llamas just look like alpaca mistakes.
Twisted alpacas.
It's like maybe. Yeah, well, I mean, like, seriously, if you look it up, I mean, like, I'm not trying to be, like, mean, but, let's see. Okay, actually. The color out of space doesn't, like, I'm bringing this back. Looking up the also known as on, IMDb, the color out of space doesn't have many funny, interesting titles. I do like that in Vietnam they just released the movie as Space Colors.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just like seems like a very simplistic way to translate that title. Anyway, I don't know. Whatever. There's a movie about Bolivia called "Taking Care of the Sun" that I guess strongly features an alpaca.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I never did the tagline. I mean, now that the episode's over, really.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah. You want to guess before I tell you?
It's just a color, but it burns.
Yeah, that's the thing. Tommy Chong says that, but earlier he actually says it sucks and it burns, and I just thought that would have been really funny as a tagline.
Wait, is that actually the I
no.
can't remember if that's the tagline.
The tagline is "It will consume you."
Oh God, that sucks.
Which is a bit of a sad trombone for me.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Not great.
Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah, no, that sucks. Try harder.
Also, just of note, Richard Stanley hadn't made a movie in like over 20 years. Up until, well, okay, not quite, at least like a major movie. In 1996, he almost made The Island of Dr. Moreau, but then he was fired a couple of days in.
Oh God, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a whole horrible thing. And then he made a documentary about trying to make that movie, which came out in 2014 and was a big hit. Just a story about him trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
And that gave him the clout, I guess, or the, whatever, to be able to make color out of space. So, here we are.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's a shame it didn't
a not
pay
very
off more,
successful
but yeah,
Lovecraft movie.
Yeah, but oh my God. Yeah, there's been that movie, and then there's like a book. First of all, you should see that particular Island of Dr. Moreau movie.
Yes.
But yeah, it's nuts. But more specifically, look up anything describing the whole process around that movie.
Yeah, it's very like Apocalypse Now. It's all just madness and it's like a weird fever dream.
Yeah. There are plenty of famous, like, nightmare productions, but I feel like The Island of Dr. Moreau is pretty singular in how insane it got.
Yeah. I think it's like Frankenstein movies where you just shouldn't make that movie. I think there's something about movies like that, like Frankenstein and The Island of Dr. Moreau, where it's like body modification. It just doesn't seem to translate well onto cinema. It just probably shouldn't be done.
I mean, at least with, like, The Island of Dr. Moreau, maybe it's don't cast an egomaniac to play, like, an insane egomaniac on an island.
Yeah, Marlon Brando was nuts in that movie.
Yeah, I can kind of see how that would, like, play into all of his worst impulses.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Yeah. It's just like actors need to be constrained, like
Absolutely.
Jared Leto. Just like don't.
I hope we finally do get our big hit cosmic horror film. That's not what this is, but I don't know. I still feel like we are yet to hit the big time on Lovecraft. I think one day there will be something. I don't know what it's going to be, but I think it'll be big when it happens. And it might even start like a trend, it could become like a genre of its own or something. But but we're not there yet. This movie's all right. That's what I'll say about it. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, on that note, if I'm gonna, like, predict anything, I think that whatever that big project will be, it probably won't be tied specifically to one of those bigger name Lovecraft stories. It'll be some sort of weird, like, I don't know, Robert Eggers Lighthouse thing where it's like...
Yeah.
It'll be something insane, like, it'll, like, be just, like, yeah, like a really good adaptation of, like, The Cats of Ulthar or something, where it's like, damn. Or, like, nobody will have, like, predicted it, but it's just, like, some visionary really liked, like, that one obscure Lovecraft story, and that'll be the thing. It's not going to be, like... As much as I like the idea, it's not going to be Guillermo del Toro doing, like, At the Mountains of Madness.
He did try, and it didn't work out, which is a shame. I think they made Aliens vs. Predator around the same time, and they just couldn't do two icy movies, I guess. I bet that movie would have been awesome. I'm pretty bummed about that.
It probably would have been, but, like, I don't think it would have been the thing that we were kind of hoping.
Speaking of The Thing, some people consider that to be Lovecraftian, I guess because of how unknowable the thing is and it comes from outer space. I don't know. I don't really count it myself, but I get it.
I mean, I get it, but I wouldn't count it as Lovecraftian.
All right.
I mean, it's good, though.
Yeah. All right, so there we must leave you, dear audience.
Yeah.
If you made it to the end, consider liking us. Or leave a nice review or comment, whatever your medium is you found us. We're just glad you're with us. Right, Jacob?
Yeah, no, I'll actually go so far as to say, don't consider it, do it.
Do it.
Find you. Yeah, if we find that you've, like, listened to this and didn't like it, or, like, review it, we're coming for you.
All right. So until next time. I've been Peter.
I'm still Jacob.
And this has been Gorman on Gore.
Legally speaking, that's not like an actionable threat or anything. We're just,
Of course not.
Just
of course.
Joking around. Yeah.
Jokey jokes.
Yeah.
Ah!